Capacity it usually is tonight. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Planning Board meeting of March 27, 2013. Tonight in attendance, we have Bob Watts, Christopher Rich, Tilly Evangelista, myself, I'm Harry Locatilia. That's for the benefit of the minutes. Along with Howard Snyder as the town planner and Wendy Beaumont as the administrative assistant. Without any further ado, time being 7, what's that look like to everybody? 8 p.m. Meeting's called to order. Nobody's jumping on me with motions or what? You
Mr. Chairman,
Uh-huh.
I would move that we accept the minutes, subject to any corrections of my colleagues.
And what minutes are those,
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Mr.
March 27th, 2013.
March
Today is
27th?
March
Yeah,
27th.
it's supposed to be
The
March
I don't think we
agenda
can
says
accept
March
them yet.
27th.
No,
And March 13th.
I'm not gonna hear that.
Let's try March 13th. I'm looking at what's written on
March,
the paper.
what is it? March what? I'm sorry?
March 13th.
March 13th?
Are they appropriately entitled? I didn't know.
It's not a
Yes, they-
script. You
yeah,
have
yes,
to use
they
your
are.
own mind. March 13th, 2013. Chris makes a motion to accept the meeting minutes of March 13th, 2013. Is that, Chris, can I, just for a clarification of them before I repeat it, is that the open session minutes and the executive session minutes?
Yes, please.
That's what I thought you were saying. That's what I thought you meant. Motion has been
Executive.
made, March 13th minutes, both executive and open session minutes, seconded by Tilly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Right. Very good minutes too, Wendy.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rich.
So we can get through the ministerial stuff.
Yep, you're gonna go for the
Vouchers, please.
vouchers?
I would move that we, faster than-
Going faster than a speeding bullet.
My mouth is in 78, my mind's in 33 and a third right now.
Yeah, you realize half the audience doesn't even know what that means.
The CD is skipping in my brain.
I hear you, brother.
Vouchers in the amount of $490 even.
And no sense.
I'll
No
second it.
sense. That's what even meant.
Motion has been seconded by Tilly for discussion, sounds like. Go for it, Tilly.
All right, that,
Damn, do I know my board or what?
absolutely. What I was curious, I think it's a great idea to ask after the dates after you receive the $500.
I'm sorry, Tilly, I lost you. What's $500?
They received $500, when was that? We got $500, wasn't it?
The invoice that I saw.
5 hours.
Was
till
5 hours.
Oh, no.
5.00.
This isn't the one, I'm
3
sorry. Scratch that.
Okay. Oh, you have something else.
Yeah,
I
the
understand.
other
I know what you're
voucher.
referring to. There's another set of accountings here. Yes,
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That's not relevant to this.
Okay,
This is a payment, an invoice for $490.
right.
This is from Graham Associates. It's for 6 Norino Way. Basically, it's 5 hours of work, 2 hours for the managing engineer, 3 hours for the senior project engineer, total $490. Any questions, anybody?
This is the one that, for the park and rec,
No, this is for 6 Norino Way, the hearing which is continued this evening.
Yeah, there's a letter in
And-
correspondence about
Right,
it.
and
Oh.
all of the comments that are a couple of pages up.
right. Good, okay.
Pat? Chris, any questions?
Nope.
Bob, any questions? I have no questions. Motion to pay the vouchers totaling $490, seconded by Tilly, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Did you sign that?
I did. Just hand it down one. and
I
I'll
certainly
sign
will,
it.
my man. Did you, lose the paperclip? Good thing I
Here
gave
we
you one
are in
earlier.
paper clips again.
Good thing I gave you one earlier. Gotta pay attention, it all goes back to the beginning.
I'm always prepared.
Okay, look at that, we're just rocking and rolling. I'll accept a motion now to, fire any planners that aren't in the room.
Second.
Where'd he go?
Here you go, Wendy.
Oh, thank you.
At this time, instead of jumping on to correspondence, I think the best thing we can do at this point is to go right to the public hearing, because we have a gentleman sitting here for 6 Narino Way. Opening the continuation of the hearing for site plan approval of 6 Narino Way. We good with that, Wendy? Love it. It's all underlined. This is an extension of a hearing that was extended from about, what was it, 2 meetings ago, I think? I'm sure you got that all tracked.
3, yeah.
Three hearings ago, 3 meetings ago. And with us for the record, would you please state your name for the record, sir?
Yes, sir. My name is Eric Bodeman with Millennium Engineering in Salisbury, representing Lenny Mira tonight.
Eric, could you spell your last name?
I already got it.
See here.
I'm
All right, so basically tonight, just to update the board, we, as you know, got a comment letter from Graham Associates. We've responded to that now. I have 2 sets of revised plans and associated material to give to you guys. I also have a letter, the Form H, requesting an extension of time, because obviously nobody's had any time to review this. But at this point in time, we think that the next letter we're gonna get from Graham Associates is saying that we've agreed with their comments, we've made the appropriate corrections and changes. And they had a suggestion on the underground stormwater.
The storage tanks?
Storage tanks, we don't have any issues with what they want us to do, so we revised the plans accordingly. So hopefully at the next meeting, everything will have been addressed.
So is it safe to say, as a summary, that you've got a new set of plans, and those plans are reflective of Larry Graham's,
Yes,
all of Larry Graham's comments?
yes,
Thank you.
The
Thank you
most
very much.
recent comment letter.
yes.
Right.
Of March.
And that's the one that was in the planning
18th
board's packet.
or whatever.
It's
yeah.
under correspondence.
Yeah.
Excellent, great.
And we
So the
actually-
other issue, beyond that, and you're giving that to Howard now, or
Yeah.
Yes.
Wendy and Howard? Great. I see 2 packets there. Are those stormwater calcs, or?
There's stormwater calcs with that also.
Okay, 2 copies of stormwater calcs, too. And my understanding is that the clock's ticking on this one, right, Howard?
Yes.
Okay, we need a motion to, no, how's the process work? You request,
They're
and
requesting-
we accept.
I have the
Mr.
request for extension right here.
Oh, you're requesting an extension of time? Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman,
We'll find out what the request of extension of time goes to. And got a date for us, Howard?
We're gonna need you to revise this, because you're extending the date to today. So,
short extension, that's what you need?
Yeah, for next.
extending it just
I
till
need a little
midnight
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, okay.
And what are we going to, forward this big March? You wanna go to June 30th, please?
On or before June 30th.
On or before June 30th.
Oh, yes, of course, before.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
no, it's an extension of time
We
to
give the
June
maximum-
30th.
That's an extension of time, but that doesn't reflect your next meeting date.
Right.
No, it's just, it's easier to track them by quarters.
Yep, yep, that's fine.
We try to keep track of all of them. They're all to separate dates.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Rich, this sounds to me like you want to make a motion, Mr.
I
Rich.
make a motion that we approve the request for extension of time on
Thanks.
6 Norino Way to June 30th, 2013, as requested by the petitioner.
Okay, Mr. Rich, to approve the extension of time request for till June 30th, 2013, seconded by Bob Watts. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Any other comments you'd like to make, or
My work here done? No, obviously this is my
hang
first
around for
meeting here.
billable hours? I mean, it's your call.
No, no. This is my first time here, and I'm a principal in Millennium Engineering. I'd like to just let you people know that the review engineer you have is very good, Graham Associates. I think they're one of the better review engineers that we've dealt with. You know, it's nice to work with people that are practical, and sometimes in this business, you don't get to do that, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
do you
you
know
for saying
when
that.
the next meeting would be?
Well,
be
yeah, you're gonna
scheduled
hear it right now, because
Okay.
we're gonna move to continue this hearing.
Great.
Other than that, it closes automatically,
Right.
and
Right.
we got 60 days regardless of that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Rich.
have we opened that public hearing? Do we have to open it to
I just,
continue it?
yeah, we opened it. I opened it.
Okay,
You're making a motion to continue it.
that's exactly what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. I wanted to make sure
thought
the
you were
public
gonna.
hearing was
My
open.
sight, it was open.
I would move that we continue the hearing to
May 8th.
May 8th,
Mr. Rich
2013.
moves to continue the hearing
7 PM.
to May 8th, 2013, at 7 PM, a time certain. And is there a second for that?
Second.
Tilly seconds. Any discussion? All in favor of continuing the hearing till May 18th, 2013, at 7 PM?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very
sir.
much for your time.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Eric.
I'll try not to make too much noise on the way out.
No, get loud, dude, get loud. Act up. Look at that, that's out of the way. Howard, could we go to correspondences, please? I think the first one is pretty much a moot point. It's H.L. Graham's letter for his review of the site plan that we just dealt with here, 6 Narino Way.
Correct.
I think we can jump over that one at this point safely, right? Second one is Graham Associates Review, special permit review for East Main Street recreational facilities. Why don't we, isn't that coming up? In,
Next meeting,
that's our next meeting?
April 10th.
So maybe if we get really lucky, won't even have to look at that, we'll be able to look at the response to that from the engineer at our next meeting.
Response, we got the response, what do you mean?
A response, this is a letter.
From the applicant's engineer's response to Larry Graham's first review.
Oh.
See what he has to say. Hopefully that will come in the next week,
I-
and we can fit that in
With
our
40
packet.
comments that was discussed, I think that's too soon.
Well-
Maybe you ought to schedule that later on.
He's scheduled to come back, that's when he
The
continued.
hearing is continued to that date. All I can say is, I'm crossing my fingers that he's gonna get them back to us. We'll see what happens, either will or we won't. It's kinda a coin, you know, falls one way or the other. Town of Georgetown Zoning Board of Appeals, Noonan's Florist and Greenhouse. Wanna give us a little breakdown on that, Howard, please?
The planning board received notice from Georgetown ZBA of a public hearing they're gonna be holding on April 9th.
April 9th, did you
April
say?
9th.
April 9th, 2013,
At 7:30 PM,
7:30 PM? Assume that's right here, in this room.
third floor meeting room.
Okay.
Regarding Noonan and Forest greenhouses. They have submitted an application for a special permit under chapter 165, 9, 78, and 79 to operate an outdoor amusement use in the residential B district.
Outdoor amusement. AKA mini golf?
Mini golf.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Oh, we'll just keep putting along until we see that on a site plan review, I would imagine.
This site plan will be
Would take us
will be
like 7.
necessary.
I'm sorry.
Can we look at the schedule
I
of
know that was
uses and the
bad.
definitions and,
May I ask why we would do that?
well, because I'm a tad confused how mini golf falls under
Agriculture.
the classification that they have it under. It's not a golf driving range, which is specifically stated.
In the definition of outdoor amusement?
Yeah, can I,
You want a zoning book? What do you want?
yeah, can I see that again? 165
Dash
7.
7. Definitions,
Yeah,
amusement, comma, outdoor.
Want me to read it, or do you
No.
want me?
Everybody's got a copy of the zoning board, zoning code except me.
Yeah, I had some questions which I emailed in, Howard. Did you get a chance to talk to the building?
well, I guess it would fall under the caveat or other
Or other outdoor amusement?
commercial recreation carried on in whole or in part outdoors.
What
Well,
did he say?
I guess we'll find out if it's outdoors.
I just wanted to raise the issue, and because it was
It's not-
mentioned earlier that
It's
it,
not a minor.
some didn't, but I guess it would fall within that caveat.
Well, my question with the building inspector was, why wasn't this new bylaw that we just put on the books, May 2nd, 2011? Why isn't this considered a minor outdoor private active recreational facility?
It's not private, so it's open to the public.
No, I
Well,
believe private
that
refers
makes
to
the
the
other one.
ownership of it as a distinction between privately owned versus publicly owned.
That reads, a minor outdoor active recreational facility owned and operated by private interest or agency shall be defined as being less than 5 contiguous acres of active recreational uses, and such facility shall contain not more than one active recreational field. The principal use of such facility shall include but not be limited to an active recreational field used for organized sports, courts, playgrounds, boat launches, and all associated concessions, bathroom, and off-street parking facilities. I thought that's why we instigated this and put it out as an amendment, so that there would be a process, and this is a special permit that the planning board is responsible for.
Interesting. That would raise, I don't have an answer for that, Tilly. I don't know if Howard, do you have an answer for that?
I spoke with the zoning code enforcement officer and he.
The building inspector.
The building inspector.
What did John say?
And John said that it was an outdoor amusement.
That's
And
how
that
he sees
it would
that.
obviously
That's
be
the
coming
site.
before the planning board for a site plan review.
Oh, okay, so it'll be coming for site plan review.
And you questioned this bylaw with him?
No, I didn't question that one. You had
I
asked.
wondered if he even, yeah.
You had asked regarding a different one, not the one
No,
you just read.
This is the one I meant, and I
Well, it's the
thought
one you
I,
meant, but you asked me to talk to him about a different one.
No,
So
I
that's
think-
what I discussed with him.
I don't
Okay,
believe
well-
so, but nonetheless, I really think, speak to him again, because perhaps he didn't recognize this,
Well, can I ask a question?
you know, and he
Noonan's,
just missed it.
Noonan's greenhouses, is that under special permit to begin with from the ZBA?
No, I don't believe so. My knowledge is that it was a pre-existing use,
It would fall under an exempted use.
but I'm not positive.
It would fall under an exempted use,
An agricultural exemption?
yes.
Yes.
Very possible.
See, I did learn something. It
You
was-
paid attention to your class.
It would fall under an exempted use, but the mini golf
Hmm.
would be an exception to falling under the exempted
That's
use.
it.
And when you're using something that's.
As would an ice cream parlor?
Yep.
So,
Yes,
you think there
because-
might be a special permit floating around out there?
I
don't
don't
know.
have any knowledge of that.
I wonder. Huh. Howard, would you look into that for us?
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, it's good to know that that's gonna be handled by the zoning board of appeals at 7:30 on April 9, 2013, and subsequent to that will be a site plan approval submission, I would presume?
Yes.
And you know what else I had a question, because I know that's an agricultural use. I wondered if he had the 61 provision.
Yes, that is an active chapter 61 agricultural land.
So when he you know, assuming that he gets this permit, whatever board does it, he will have to remove that section of the land from this protection.
That's correct.
And
And
if
pay
it
the
is
and pay the back taxes on
that portion,
that portion of
and
those.
if it is a pre-existing non-conforming use without, you know, legitimately,
But Tilly,
then-
it's exempted. It can't be a pre-existing non-conforming use.
according to our regulations, it probably is, because that's been a farm for a long time.
But the fact that for being the florist, he would be exempted for agricultural. Do you remember in that
Yeah.
when I asked the question about the mini golf. And someone in the back said, well, gee, if they paint murals of the trees
Yeah.
at each hole, does that make it
Right.
part and parcel of the agricultural theme, if you will?
Yeah.
And the attorney said, I believe they said they didn't think so.
Well, what I wanted to say is that my recall, and Howard can confirm it, but my recall about it, the pre-existing non-conformist, if it is that when you change things to another use, you open the risk of losing that protection.
Presumably for that part
Oh,
that's
for
being
that
changed.
part.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It comes out of that
Not for the whole
portion.
parcel.
The number of square feet used for the mini golf
Yeah.
is now commercial.
Yeah.
And it should be taxed at our
Oh, I got one better for you,
From the
kids.
point
regular
that it
tax rate.
changed, from the
Because we
time
don't
that it
have a
changes.
commercial tax rate.
If you're
Yeah.
proposing to change the use of a chapter 61 parcel, you have to send a notice of intent to the town.
To the town, right.
And the town
another
has
step.
120 days to respond as to whether or not they will exercise their right of first refusal to purchase that parcel, that portion of land.
See, I
Well,
really thought when I
I'm sure
read
there's
that.
a town council opinion out there somewhere that
Oh.
says they don't have to. Wait for the movie. But in any event,
Okay.
you know,
Did you follow-
I,
did you
Well,
have
perhaps these are all very, very valid questions. Bright people asking very cogent questions, and I'm sure what'll happen is before we even have a chance to discuss it again at our next meeting on April 9th, the ZBA will raise all of these concerns
Right.
because they're very good at what they do.
You know, the
And-
state law
And
kind of
should,
leads to it.
should we ask our planner to possibly broach the subject with the code enforcement officer that, oh gee, shouldn't he know about that? Shouldn't he know that?
I don't know what you're referring to. Know about
Coming
what?
out of 61A,
Notice of intent.
notice of intent?
Does the board feel as though they wish to have Howard send a memo to the zoning enforcement officer? Is that what I'm hearing? Am I not hearing that? Not hearing a
Yeah,
motion
that's-
for that. If somebody wants to
No,
make a motion for that, I'll hear
I'm
it.
thinking I'm thinking it out. Should we?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it would hurt.
Yeah, I look at it this way. I mean, this is right now a ZBA matter. This is a public notice.
I know
the-
that, but I see so many things that, I mean, you're leaving the thing open for the poor guy. Once he goes through all the steps and tries to get it done at Noonan's, if it's not done right, someone can come out of the woodwork and put the kibosh on it, and the poor guy has spent all the money. It wasn't done right, and whose fault is it? The mud is on the town's face.
Yeah.
So, being a proactive planning board, as we are, and trying to be friendly to all the other boards and commissions in town, maybe we should tell them that, oh gee, we see a potential issue here that could come back and kick you all in an area you wouldn't like to be kicked.
I just don't like to be presumptive that we know we're all of the many problems that this might run into. I'm perfectly happy waiting until April 9th and trusting in the ZBA that they're pretty bright people and they'll
April
pick
10th,
up,
I can have an oral
they'll pick up
report.
all of these same issues and probably a few we haven't even considered. And I'm happy leaving it like that because ZBA is one board, we're another board, and let it go in sequence.
I mean, I don't think it's appropriate for us to put in our or, as it were.
Stick our noses in where they don't belong.
Yeah, precisely.
Maybe I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but I
on
just
the
did.
other hand, are we doing it, are we doing a service to the petitioner as well as to the other board by not just saying, oh, here's some things we thought about?
Well, I listened to,
I don't know about territoriality.
No, I'm not thinking of that at all, territorial. I'm thinking about the applicant.
Believe the term you're using is
It's an
jurisdiction.
agriculture
The term
use,
is
it's been in
jurisdiction.
town a
it's
long
not
time.
Belize, Mr. Chairman, if
And I
I
really
may,
feel that,
Mr. Murray, you're all set. Your engineer took care of it.
Touchdown.
Yep.
But while you're here, can we have more money from the state?
Nice tie. I like it.
oh,
Millennium Engineering already left?
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you get the billable hours,
I see how that works.
We stretched it out.
He signed as your rep.
when he says he was here from 7 to
This is the
10,
Form
you know.
A, those site improvements. He just requested the extension to June 30th. There's a signature on today's date.
Okay.
And the,
You wanna countersign that for him?
Board clerk has signed it, and I'll take it downstairs tomorrow with the clerk.
Lenny, why don't you just countersign it, so.
Or initial it.
Or initial it, so there's no,
Yeah, there's absolutely no question.
You can just sign it here, too.
Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Again, back to the issue.
Okay, buddy.
I personally believe
Excuse me,
it's a
I
ZBA
was-
issue and they can handle it. What did you want to say? I'm sorry.
I was
Phil.
interrupted.
I'm sorry.
That I was looking out for the applicant. I think he is following process that he's been told to do, I'm assuming, unless he has an attorney that is telling him differently.
I really
Well,
don't
you know, Tilly, I'll just introduce this thought. He's before the zoning board for the use, right? When he
Right.
comes for site plan, all this is gonna be vetted at that point
Right,
as
but-
well.
but that's
I mean,
not-
the zoning board doesn't have to consider 61A,
No,
with their
that
decision on
isn't
the
my
use.
question, that's,
so I'm just saying, these are all good points. But I think that the zoning board is gonna consider certain elements, and then when he
Yeah.
comes in for site plan, all these other ones will be coming into play.
well, the
So-
trouble with that, and that's a point, is that we make the trouble of having amendments, and we go through quite an ordeal. Meetings, we put a lot of money into legal ads to do it, we follow the state guidelines.
Oh,
And then to have the bylaw ignored,
Who's ignoring the bylaw?
I'm not sure.
I think.
I just
I
don't
think
wanna
it's-
see that
it's an-
happen.
It's an interpretation of a use, and I think that clearly runs to the benefit of the zoning enforcement officer. It's his call, and,
That's what I-
he's brought it to there, and,
That's why
That's
I
the
just
call
wanna
he's
know
made.
if he looked at it, you know, and if that's his call, that's his call. There's nothing that we can possibly do about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, did he see it? Now, we've already known there's been another bylaw that he didn't see. You know, so we know that he's still getting familiar with the town.
what's your pleasure, folks?
Oh, it's,
Anybody
I
have,
would like to leave it like it is, have him do a memo or whatever, go see him. And ask these questions.
what would you what would you go for? What's your motion, Tilly? Tilly
I make a
moves.
motion that Howard, our planner, will communicate in some way with the building inspector and ask him first if he reviewed our new bylaw, the minor outdoor, what is it?
Zoning code enforcement officer.
No, it's outdoor,
the
Minor outdoor.
minor outdoor private activity recreational facility.
outdoor recreational
Outdoor
facility.
And since he's using, you think that he's using outdoor amusement, mini golf, I would like to know is this a duplication, our new bylaw? Or should we eliminate this and review it and get it cleared up? You know, because to me, it's two different boards that would have to have the hearing, and, let's get it right, folks, is my goal.
Tilly's made a motion to have the planner contact the zone enforcement officer regarding this ZBA hearing in relation to, and ask him about the minor outdoor recreational facility, active recreational facility bylaw. Is that what you, is there a second?
That's it.
For discussion purposes, second.
Mr. Rich seconds. Well, discuss away.
So it sounds, it sounds
Seems
to me
pretty clear
like,
cut.
it sounds to me like there are two different sections of the bylaw that might be applicable. So they're applying under one section, but there may be another section that's applicable. Is this a question then perhaps for town council?
Well, let's see what the building inspector.
A written opinion from town council.
Well, the motion on the floor right now is to have Howard contact the zoning enforcement officer.
That's correct.
For all we know, he may have gotten something.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Let's not jump.
Well, I would,
Let's wait till we get a response from John Meffier before, assuming this passes, assuming this motion is affirmative. Let's get a response from him before we, bring in the legal eagles.
It sounds like a minimal work. Not gonna take a lot
Doesn't
of
sound like
effort
a
to
lot.
do that,
Yeah,
I would think, well.
that's why I had
It-
emailed Howard.
It sounds to
do
me
it.
like it could go either way, and the town's safe either way. Even
Oh, absolutely.
if,
But
if,
we-
if it was considered an outdoor recreational facility, planning board would put a special permit. If it is granted a special permit by the ZBA under outdoor amusement, then they grant the permit, and we still have site plan review for all of the safety and
Right.
traffic, all of those things. I
Plus, site
think
review
Either
doesn't,
way it flips, town's covered.
site review
my
doesn't
opinion.
have the heavy weight as a special permit does either. I mean, if it's an approval that we do. Special permit can deny it.
So let's see, we
You
might
know?
be talking about this for nothing. I mean, the ZBA might deny the special permit. We might not even have to deal with the,
Well, I would like to find out before the hand because this is a new bylaw,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So let's test it out. This is the first test that we're really, I think,
no, this isn't
Addressing
the
it.
first test. Oh, no, we got a major outdoor recreational
we had a
facility.
major, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So that's all.
All right.
Any more discussion? Mr. Rich?
None.
Bob?
No, no more.
Dead horse here? Tilly?
I think so.
Good. Tilly made a motion to have Howard contact the zoning enforcement officer with reference to Noonan's and ask him about the minor outdoor recreational facility. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Howard, I think the board is leaving it up to you as to how you communicate,
Yeah.
but for God's sake, do it by email. Please, have a written record, so that we get a written response. No he said, she said at the end of it, please. Great, moving down the line. Member of Public Reports.
After your packet was sent out on Thursday, I received a few requests from different board members, which I was able to get onto the agenda, but not into the packet. So items 1 through 4 on the member of public reports agenda, they're all held in your meeting supplement that's presented at the meeting tonight.
Moving to the blue packet.
Yeah, I had requested too to be on this agenda for the open meeting law.
Number
Did I
4,
get
Tilly.
it?
Number
Okay.
4. Howard didn't forget you. Okay, Howard, why don't we start with number 1 there, and vote of the school building committee. Would you like to summarize that for us?
At a meeting of the school building committee last night, the school building committee took a vote not to submit a site plan application before the planning board. That's my summary, and then
You
I
want to
don't
write
know.
this down in your notes? School building committee voted last night not to submit site plan
You know, it's,
approval to the planning board.
it was 5-4 and 1 abstained.
Oh, okay, that's what it was? 5-4 with 1 abstention?
Who abstained?
Jeff Wade.
Jeff Wade.
Jeff Wade did.
And, okay, and,
Tilly's the planning board representative on the school building committee.
Right. And,
thank you, Tilly.
She's the one that requested the item on the
I
report,
understand.
so.
Basically, what happened was that the first meeting, which I think you were in the audience, you and Chris,
2 weeks ago?
there were 8 people present, voting members, and the vote was different than it was last night. And it was, first time around,
5 to
it
3.
was 5.
5 to 3 and affirmative to
5
to
to
file
3.
for site plan approval.
Well, the process was repeated for several reasons. The chairman, the 2 chairmen, the co-chairs, made the decision through the recommendation of our town administrator to have another vote. And the reason for that, it's confusing. The reason for that
you like
is
some
that,
You want some help?
the reason, all right, let me finish. The reason for that was he had communicated with town council and got an opinion that the site approval process for an educational use should not go for a site approval process. And he, in turn, communicated with the co-chairs, unbeknownst to anybody else, and submitted the first letter that we received saying that they were not coming. If you recall, do you remember that letter? Nobody else on the board on the school committee had even seen that letter until last week. So, I was very disappointed, needless to say, because I thought that the board will do a top-notch job on reviewing this project as we had discussed previously when we did our letters. All of our letters have been discussed in the among us and voted. And the school committee, building committee didn't do that. So, because we did the vote again, it led to a lot of doubt. You know, first I was thinking, because he's also stated to them that the co-chairs, that it wasn't a legitimate vote because the agenda didn't have vote written on the school building agenda for that meeting.
The meeting 2 weeks ago.
The first meeting for the vote.
May I interrupt you? That's an interesting point. Hold that point, because if
Yes,
this
I have a lot.
is-
I have a lot.
let's not
to
lose that
reflect
point.
upon on that.
I'm giving a quick synopsis here.
Yeah, absolutely, but we don't want to lose that point, because we may have to go back and vote all our decisions for the last couple of years.
I've gotta go.
Not tonight, because we don't have it on the agenda to do it.
Does it
say So- vote- does it say
vote on the agenda?
No, so we can't do it.
So the co-chairs are steering this whole group with the assistance from our town administrator. And because he said it wasn't legitimate because it wasn't on the agenda right. So,
Did
I
did
reviewed
get a-
carefully.
You didn't get a chance to read that opinion, did you?
Mr. Chairman, if I may I interrupt you now, Tilly,
All right,
please?
go for it.
As you know, I was present at the hearing, and
How you doing, Wendy?
was it a hearing or was it?
No,
It's
it wasn't a
meeting.
hearing, it's just a meeting.
I was present at the meeting, and I did inquire as to whether or not it was a written opinion. And after I was threatened with having the police called and being physically removed from the room for asking that question, it was announced that it was a verbal opinion. And that was subsequently not memorialized by anybody in writing, just handed off to the same person who 2 weeks prior told her committee members that the written town council opinion stated town council said not to go to the planning board. At that time, I inquired of the chair if she had read the communication. And her response was, no. She was told what it said. That's what she was relaying to her board members.
So essentially, there may or may not have been some
Well,
summarization errors.
that's a very kind way of putting it. I
That's the
wouldn't
only
be-
way this board
I
should be
would-
putting it.
It's
No.
third-person information that
It was, let
got-
me, Tilly,
These
please let me finish.
Miscommunications happen like that when
No,
people
Mr. Chairman,
summarize.
please don't look into what other people's intent was. I'm not going to characterize their intent. I'm
I would
going to
hope
say
not.
that she ultimately did forward the correspondence to all of her board members, and none of them could find anywhere in the memo that town council said not to go to the planning board.
Perhaps it's safe to categorize and summarize the town council opinions that were received. And I'm not referring to the one that speaks to the question of being able to vote or not vote on an item that is on an agenda or not, but the ones that referred to chapter 48 exemptions.
Yes,
Whether
that-
or not.
the written memo. One's
the
written, one's not
memos,
written.
whether or not a school building committee must or must not it is or is not required.
It clearly
to
states
go.
in that, it
It
is not
clearly
town council's opinion that it was not.
Town council's opinion. Town council's opinion.
Our town council's opinion was that it's not
that it is
required.
not required for the school building committee to come before this board.
Yet the two attorneys at the conference let me finish, the two attorneys at the conference in Worcester, when asked the question, their answer was completely opposite of town council's.
I'm sure you will always find attorneys that have opposing viewpoints. But
That's
as
how we
far
make our
as,
money.
and as far as the information that, the opinions that the school building committee had and the advice of town council essentially told them that they were under no obligation, nor were they prohibited from applying for site plan approval. Last night, the board met at a properly posted meeting, and they voted it as a full board. The full 10 voting board members, to my knowledge, were there, even though they weren't announced at the beginning of the meeting. And all of them voted, and their vote was 5-4 with one abstention to not file site plan approval.
So when
And so this should end here, right?
So when I went
Absolutely
I
not.
wanted to explain that when I went into the meeting last night, I was under the impression that what I was told was that we're voting again because the first time around was not correct, because the vote was not on the agenda. Well, after, reviewing and researching, that's not the law at all. You don't have to put votes on the agenda. That's proven. And after the fact, I spoke with the superintendent, who said her attorney would agree with this. And she said that I was right. She said that she clearly knows the open meeting law inside and out, and there's no reason to put agenda. And if you go on the computer that has all the directions and the laws spelled out on the meeting, it's the date, the time, the topics. That's it.
No, what the chair reasonably expects is the criteria, if I may interrupt. What the chair reasonably expects within 48 hours of the meeting, what's going to be addressed, discussed, or voted upon.
Right. And she clearly knew, the two of them knew all about the correspondence way back when. And clearly she knew that
Yeah,
what
but-
was transpiring.
I might add, Tilly, I don't think, at least she did not act as if she reasonably expected a vote. So if she did not reasonably expect a vote, the vote was proper.
Yeah.
Well, can we say that, is there any question at all that last night's vote was proper in anybody's mind?
Yes.
Yes, it's because I felt that if anybody wanted to reconsider the vote because it was null and void, we couldn't do it. And that was the information that even the selectman told me. You cannot vote again if the first vote is invalid, void. It was improper. The first vote wasn't improper.
So
That first vote should count.
what you're saying is that the only criteria under which you would be able to void a previous vote and vote on the same language
Right.
is what?
They created their own violation of the special meeting, of the
They,
open
they,
meeting
they
law.
invented a rule
That's how
that
I
didn't-
see it.
that didn't happen.
And if I can now go back to the point that the chair asked to be held on to. The verbal town council opinion that was relayed by our town administrator was that a vote is not effective, or is not good, if you will, under the law, unless it is listed on the agenda that the vote is going to be taken. Now, that being the case, I would suggest that everything this planning board has done, every vote that this planning board has done, let's see, this is my 2.5 term.
Oh, yeah, let's just.
In
let's-
all the time that I've been here, votes have not specifically been listed on the agenda. I don't think they have been on any board.
Can I say that I think what I'm hearing from you, and what I know I would like, and I'll throw it out to you guys, you folks, I think we really need a clarification,
Written.
a written clarification from town council regarding this topic. I realize now that it may or may not have been a verbal, opinion given to the town administrator, and that verbal opinion may have been transferred to the chairs of the
Well, it gets
school
better,
building
Mr.
committee.
Chairman.
But for this board's sake, for the planning board, for clarity with us, we need to know the answer to this. If all of our votes, when we take them, must be listed as votes, then everything we did tonight, every motion we made tonight, I don't see vote anywhere on this agenda. Everything just got thrown out. And you know what? The vote to continue that hearing, well, Mr. Mira and Norino, this hearing wasn't ever continued because it wasn't valid.
Okay, then
And that means it's closed. We now have 60 days to close. We don't have enough information, so now we have to deny it.
So also
It
it
doesn't
seems to
seem
be.
to
Doesn't
make
make
sense.
sense.
It doesn't
It
seem
doesn't
to.
make any
That's why
sense.
we need clarification. Because
Well, there was
we'll
a
have to go back
consensus.
years and years.
The thing is, there's a
For our
risk as
decisions.
well
People will
that,
have to lose their occupancy permits.
there's a risk though that if we have a vote that's close and Tim's not here, and the chairman doesn't like the vote,
Mm-hmm.
and next week I'm not here, and Tim's here,
Mm-hmm.
he can just, we're gonna vote it
No,
again.
no.
It's funny you should
no,
say
no,
that,
no,
Bob.
no.
You don't think
No.
that that's what happened at that meeting?
No, Bob.
It sounds
Bob,
like,
you don't have
it
to worry
sounds
about
like
that.
a rule.
Because there are rules for reconsideration of votes.
Are there
There are hard and fast rules
Hard
for
and fast rules?
reconsideration.
What-
Yes.
what they
Called
say-
Robert's rules. There are hard and fast rules, and I'll always hold them.
Let
So you
me-
don't have to
No,
worry
I'm
about
not
it.
worried about you, Harry. I'm worried about any board in town.
Oh, don't worry about
That-
other boards. Worry
that
about your
happening.
board. Don't worry about other boards. You're not the cop.
No,
You're
no,
just
no,
the
no.
planning board.
Oh, I'm
didn't
very,
get elected
I'm
to
very
be the
concerned about everything that this
The
board has
ombudsman
done.
of Georgetown.
If you follow that logic through everything that we've done, there are projects in town that are already built. There are projects in town being built, that their permits could be in question.
Invalidated, yeah.
there were bylaws that were recommended and approved at town meeting that we didn't say we were gonna vote on it in the agenda. And that means they didn't get a recommendation from the planning board, which means that vote at town meeting was illegitimate. And those bylaws don't count. I mean, you got a Domino's
Yeah,
set
this
up
is
here,
Twilight
this
Zone
runs
stuff. Yeah, really.
back probably 7 years.
And
think
the
seven.
ripple,
think it's
ripple
seven,
effect.
right?
Several.
The
think
ripple
it's
effect
seven.
of that is anyone in this town who has an issue with any vote that this board, and theoretically any other board, could go back to the agenda of that meeting, if it wasn't listed as a vote, that was a violation of the open meeting law.
So,
That vote can be vitiated and start all over again.
invalidate. Okay, so bottom line, Howard,
Tremendous
do you need a motion for that? I'm
So
kinda scared to
moved.
make it because we'd have to vote on it,
Would you
and we don't
like-
have it listed as a vote.
would you like me to
so-
All right, all right, hold on a second, I'm not finished.
I know you want, but can we
Well,
can
there's
we
gotta be
clarify for
discussion.
Howard?
There has to be discussion on the motion, so let me make the motion.
We're not gonna make a motion on that one, because if he finds out that it's illegal, it wouldn't work. How about this? By general consent,
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
That's
Right?
good.
okay? Yeah, I know, you're in such a trap there. You gotta be able to crawl out of the hole.
So-
By general
Can I-
consent.
Are we still in session from the first meeting because the motion to adjourn?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, by general consent, the
general
school
consent.
building committee seemed to be into the mode.
By general consent, Howard is gonna get that
Right,
written opinion. Are we clear on that?
all right.
All in
Can I move
agreement,
forward?
right?
General,
Written
general
clarification from
unanimous
town
consent?
council regarding the requirement of the term vote to be placed on the agenda.
Okay.
I like the way you characterize that and summarize
The
it.
concession of
writing.
the group was that they wanted instead to go to the planning board, which they had discussed from day one, at a meeting. And there was a lot of discussion on what the forum, how the setup would be, and whatnot. So, as it stands today, I believe that's how they're gonna do it. Now, if that be the case, I think that Andover process that I had given you a couple meetings ago, that they have in Andover, might be the recourse that we have. But in my opinion, regardless of what it is, the site approval or the meeting, we will have our consultant to go over the plans.
Excuse me one moment. Wendy, please let the record show that Tim Howard arrives
Oh, hey, Tim.
at 8 PM.
And
Hey, Tim.
I would like to make a motion.
Welcome. What we're discussing here is the school building committee last night voted to not come to the planning board with site plan approval.
That's a surprise.
Oh, okay. Oh. Wasn't a surprise to me. I kinda knew that. But anyway,
Okay,
I'm good like that. I could read their faces.
all right. So I wanna, if it's so warranted, I would like to make a motion that if the school building committee comes as a site approval.
Go slow for me. Go slow, go slow.
Or
Tilly
if
moves.
they come for
Tilly moves.
meeting, that we
Oh, that was good.
also get the services of our consultants.
Give me that again. Tilly moves.
Wendy can tell you.
Yep, I can.
You can? I wanna get it right.
She wants to make a motion that if the
Tell me
school
that.
board committee comes before the planning board for a meeting,
The school building.
that
Comes before the board
the board for a meeting,
for a meeting,
that we also get the services of our consultant.
also get the services of our consultant.
Right.
Which they say they'll get through Concom anyway.
Is that a second? Tim seconds. Interesting.
Discussion, please, Mr. Chairman?
I guess so. Now that there's a second, yes, absolutely. Go for it.
Mr. Chairman and Tilly,
Okay.
I, in good conscience, cannot support that because I truly believe that unless one formally applies for site plan approval, that this board does not give advisory opinions. We issue orders of condition. And I was extremely disappointed in the way that meeting was conducted and the arguments that were proffered at that meeting on a school building committee worrying about whether or not this board was going to be reasonable. And then have listened to their preaching on how we're all on the same team. If we're all on the same team and we're trusting them to deal with $56 million of our tax money, and they're afraid to come before us to issue orders of conditions concerning the safety of the drainage, the safety of the roads, the adequacy of the roads, the adequacy of the drainage, the adequacy of the sidewalks, the adequacy of the access and egress. Well, then, that's, either you formally apply and you get it, because if you look at it, what venue, okay, they're gonna come in, and it was very interesting, because I asked one of the board members, like any other developer, you have to pay the consulting engineer. And his comment was, I don't know where we're gonna get that money.
It's in the budget for consultant, for permitting.
Well, I'm sure it is.
I think it's
I'm sure it is, but the
30,000.
The fact that a board appointed to oversee the building of a school in this town, the single largest project so far in the history of this town, doesn't want to bring it before the people who are charged with making sure it's done right. Under the guise of, we don't want it to be delayed. It's got to be done, and as you witnessed in that hearing, in that meeting, well, if there are mistakes in the drainage, we're going to have it tested in the field and we'll fix it there. Well, I've spent my life in the construction industry. You might as well add 20% on to your construction cost if you're going to have all those field changes, because they're all done at cost plus.
Yeah.
You'll have a lot of bidders.
It was very difficult because people there on the committee are not familiar with the process of developing anything.
And also,
And it was tough.
they're
It
going.
was tough.
One at a time. Listen to
I'm
Tilly.
sorry. Also,
No, Tilly has the floor, please.
she had the floor.
Well, no, she was saying something. Let her have it. You can have it too after. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Tilly.
I'm sorry.
That was the difficult part, is that the people on the committee were not involved with any kind of development anywhere, any place. And it was new to them. They asked a lot of questions that, I'm assuming that everybody knows, but obviously they didn't. We have an OPM that our town administrator thought he was going to review the calculations of the engineer. There's absolutely nothing in there. That's not his job duty. And I was shocked because the town administrator is the one who was dealing with town council to do his contract. And it spells it out in the contract. I was just totally baffled by that. He thought that because the MSBA insisted on an OPM, that he eliminated the clerk of the works position.
She is the clerk of the works.
Can we get back to
So-
the motion on the floor? Because there's a motion here, and I think, if I'm summarizing it right, Tilly, what you're saying is if the school building committee comes before us at a meeting, and I don't know how they do that without filing site plan approval, because there's no venue for it, but if they were to somehow magically appear here some night, then we would get our town engineer.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. We taking up like a, what are we doing, like a, taking this out of our budget?
No,
Or
that
bake
that
sale?
would be their responsibility.
Oh, okay.
That's, and I would clearly,
So we're completely cutting the,
once we got
the
the
planning board out of
application,
it?
that I would clearly write that in the letter,
Yeah.
if there was any
letter?
holdback.
The letter?
If we
We're
get an
creating
application,
a process here for this?
if we get notified, let's put it that way, scratch that, Wendy. If we get notified that they're coming in, and we set a scheduled time for them to come in,
How would they come in?
To do what?
Under what venue?
They're just gonna come in and visit? They're
Is
gonna
this an
bring cheese and
OSRD?
crackers?
Is this OSRD now?
I don't know.
Is this a subdivision plan?
Well, the thing is that the way things have been going, they're gonna do what they wanna do.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and
I've
they
been
voted
there.
last night to do it.
I've been there, and the only time they ever acknowledged me as being on the planning board was the other night.
When the shtick hit the
They
fan.
don't live. I swear, I've done several votes, and I'm voted down. They don't acknowledge.
That happens from time to time. That's all part
It
of being on a
happens a
committee.
lot of times.
that all
this
happens.
process.
It always happens to me. You know that.
See, Gary knows. He's been at a lot of our meetings.
Okay.
So, I stated that. I says, the only time you're acknowledged, I told him that last night, is when you send something to MSBA. Then, whoa, my name is on there as the planning representative.
I cut Chris off, or I don't know. Did I cut you off?
But-
Did you have something else you wanted to say?
But
I have a lot more to say.
well, let me finish.
Oh, well,
I
silly
think
monkey.
that
I'm
the
sorry.
venue, I think we should prepare as if they're coming, because it seems to me they've gotten their way for everything. So I think I definitely,
if they're coming in, they're gonna request to come in,
yeah,
right?
right.
And they're gonna make that request to me.
Uh-huh.
And so through general consensus or whatever, the board needs to inform me of the yes or no.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing.
I think there's a motion on the floor that's helping us to find that out.
debate that.
And we're,
Yeah,
and we're
and it
just-
says that evidently they just arrive at a meeting, according to this.
Yeah.
They haven't given you any information. They haven't submitted anything.
Right.
There's no documents, there's no plans, there's no calculation. We just have, I guess, the DRA representative sitting there.
Well,
And then we're gonna say, we're gonna give them our consultant services.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm thinking of the
Am I
worst
hearing that
scenario.
right?
Yeah. I'm thinking of the worst scenario.
Okay, and that's fine.
I agree with all that you said. I do feel, and I voted for a site approval process. That got defeated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving along to get forward here.
Absolutely.
The main issue is that we need another set of eyes looking at the plans. So what I'm suggesting,
When you say we, are you speaking for the planning
The
board?
planning
Are
board.
you speaking for the,
or for the town.
or are you speaking as
For the
a
town.
townsperson?
for the town,
As a
both.
townsperson? Both?
The
all three?
thing is that, what's the third one?
The planning board. You're the planning board? You're on
So
the,
anyway, let me
School
move
building
ahead.
committee and you're a private
Okay,
citizen.
I'm moving ahead. That's my main concern. Is that from day one, this school building committee has gotten everything they wanted, and the meeting before last was the first time the co-chairs did not win the vote. And I think this is a repercussion of them accepting this, and they're not going to. So they pulled this other thing for another vote with the backup of town council, the town
Tilly,
administrator.
let's stick to this. Let's
I'm-
stick to
I'm
this
sticking
motion.
to this, and then
You were way off there. We're way downstream.
and I
Stay at the
wanna.
dock.
I'm telling you why I'm making the motion.
I understand.
So anyway, I think that that's the thing, and the main other thing that I'm very concerned about is the time involved. Time is money, particularly in construction. In Andover, it was the Conservation Board that was appealed, their decision, that took more than a year and a half in court. Well, I don't know if it got in court because they finally settled, but it was proceeding, it was an appeal, that they had to come back to the Andover town meeting for $5 million more. In that length of time, they claim that the costs of a construction development went up.
Oh, yeah, you always have to concern yourself
So
with appeal.
that's my other concern.
Any
is
abutter-
that
any abutter
we
can
have
appeal.
our ducks in a row, that if the meeting does occur, we've got something set up like they did in Andover,
Okay, well, let's see what the
which
other
is
board
similar
members think.
to a site approval.
Let's see what the other board
requirement.
members think
Well,
about
I just
a
wanna-
similar
Can I just
thing to
clarify
site plan
that
approval.
what Tilly's referring to in Andover is in their bylaws for a process
Mhm.
that Georgetown
Yep.
does not have.
I know,
So you can't entertain that.
so they can point to it. But
And
let's
what
hear what the
Andover
other.
has is that when a municipal project comes in, they don't meet with the planning board. They meet with the design review committee.
Yeah.
Ooh, we go
And then
into
the
that.
design review committee makes a report to the planning board, and the planning board therefore makes recommendations. There's nothing in Georgetown bylaws that allow for that process.
We don't have design
So
review.
if you want to think about it for the fall, we can do that. But when it comes to doing that for the school, the process isn't in place.
Well, why didn't you speak up at the meeting last night and say that? That they do. That
I was there to observe. If I was asked a question, I would have responded.
Well, there was a lot of discussion about the process.
Let's hear from some of the other board members. There's still, Chris, did you want to follow up on some of what you were
I
saying?
would like to ask my colleagues that voted, that made and seconded that motion to
Well, I'm gonna get to Tim in a minute.
withdraw it.
Well, we can vote it too, I mean.
You know, I don't like voting against a fellow colleague's motion. I just can't support it the way it stands.
I'm used to that, Chris.
Could you reread it?
Yeah, sure.
And I'd like to be heard on it, if I may continue.
Yeah, of course you can.
I think,
When do I not hear?
Tim,
Excuse me, Tilly moved, I better square that
the
up.
floor again.
Tilly moved that if the school building committee comes before the board for a meeting, they be provided the services of our consultant.
Thank you.
At their expense.
No, that wasn't the original motion.
Well, that needs,
But tell us what you're thinking here. Tell us what you're thinking here.
well, Chris is speaking at the moment.
I'll yield the floor
Yield
to
that
Tim.
floor. Go ahead, Chris. Yield it, baby.
Continue.
I mean, my concern from day one was lack of expertise in terms of their experience and the technical people that they could draw on their experience as well. And if they're willing to pay for the use of the people we use as technical people, and they listen to and abide by what they're advised to do or not to do, then I'm a little bit more on board with us not being involved in it directly in a,
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
I need a little bit of clarification.
Okay.
Us not being involved. It sounds like we are involved. They're using the room and we're here. Am I clear on that motion? So we're here.
How are they here? How are they on the agenda?
I don't know.
it is up to them whether or not they want us involved, whether we like it or not, whether,
I believe they voted last night that they don't.
well, if they don't want us involved, I don't believe there's a whole lot we can do
I would
to
like
force
to,
their hand.
after the meeting,
Oh, I agree with you.
if I may,
Well,
may I?
it
And,
depends on
and if they
the level
can,
of
if they can have
nuclear
our,
option.
Can I have the floor back for a second?
yes, you may.
At the end of the meeting, I was asked if there was a common ground, if there were bullet points that they could come in on a limited site plan approval on just the bullet points that they agreed to come in on.
Chris, this was something that didn't occur at the meeting? Because I didn't hear this at the meeting.
Oh, they asked,
They did.
they
They-
raised that issue at the meeting.
Yeah.
Huh? Okay, I
Yes.
missed that part.
Remember I was saying that you can put in NA, non-applicable?
No,
Just
that was when they were asking you about
for
the process
specific
and the
bullet
application
points.
form.
That's what he's saying.
That's not what I just heard.
that they would come in, and I think where the falling down point is my response was, I don't know, but I'll try and find out. I said the one thing that would be necessary, as far as I can see, is that you would have to agree that whatever the planning board, whatever reasonable order the planning board issues on those bullet points, you have to do.
And that's when they voted
And
not
that's
to
when
come
they said
before us.
no.
for Site plan approval.
So.
Okay, I didn't see that, so.
Oh, you weren't there. No big deal.
So, my thoughts, and let's burn a little bit more of the town's money. Maybe we should send the question to town council. If the school building,
Why don't we limit ourselves to the motion that's on the floor in that discussion? Okay, before we get way off, and after we resolve this question, if you wanna make a different suggestion, then it would probably be appropriate. But let's stick to this.
I have a
And
question,
it
Doug.
sounds like Tilly's making a motion to have, if the school building committee comes before us at a meeting, they just show up here, I guess, that we would give them our consultant.
I have a question. Our consultant
Yeah.
is not an employee of the town.
No,
He's
no.
a private.
Yeah, they could like pick up the phone and just say, hey, you busy? We'd like to hire
Exactly,
you.
so I don't understand,
Where we have to be
what
involved.
do we have to do with this? If they wanna talk.
We don't
to
have to be
a
involved.
Consultant, give them a call.
one of the issues that I think we have to be very careful of is if it doesn't come to us by way of the proper channels, are we giving the impression, if it does get here, that we have approved it?
Of course we are.
And I don't want, when I raised my hand and swore on an oath to do what a member of the planning board is supposed to do, you know, uphold all the rules and regulations, all of the ethics laws, all of the open meeting laws, I took that very seriously.
As did we all.
And that was one of the reasons why I raised what I raised, and I'll get to that after we finish with this motion. I just have a problem with the appearance that this board has reviewed it and stamped it with our approval.
And to that point, it's my concern that if they come here without looking for a site plan review, there's no purpose. We've discussed many
We're
times.
on the same page, Bob.
Yeah, I know, I agree, I think we are on the same page. We've discussed many times this issue of preliminary conversations, and it's a waste of time.
Tim?
Informal.
Yeah, informal. There's no point to that. Sit around and sing kumbaya? No.
But it doesn't matter.
AKA drive-by review.
Bob, I agree with everything you're saying. It's not gonna happen. I'm telling you, I'm a realist.
Well, you know what?
It's not gonna happen. So do we want them to completely bypass
It's not
the
a question of what.
any review at all?
It's not a
Really?
question of what we want to,
We
in my
extended the
opinion.
invitation.
Twice.
Yeah.
We sent 2 written invitations.
And
to
it was accepted
join
one
us.
time and rejected.
And one time they said yes and one time they said no. So, I mean, but
You
it sounded.
sent 2 written invitations to come in for site plan
A
review.
formal site plan review.
Right.
Right, and one time they said yeah, then they changed their mind, that's their prerogative.
And I think that by doing that, we exercised our responsibility.
I think we did due diligence.
Oh, I think we have more than exercised our responsibility.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't explain myself. Well, let's put it this way. I think my explanation that I gave to that committee on what this member thought, and citizen and taxpayer of this town, thought it should come before the planning board. I think a first grader would have walked out of there knowing why.
Can I just say, from my perspective, I think this board has burned a lot of time on this subject. This board has other business of this town that needs to be done. And I'm not just saying we're burning time now, we've burned time in at least 3 executive sessions. We've burned countless time, Howard's time sending emails back and forth.
And it's
the
very
school-
frustrating to
If the school
everybody.
building committee does not wanna come, that is their prerogative, they're well within their legal rights. And I admire them for taking a vote and standing up for what they think. And as far as I'm concerned, we have a lot of other things on our plate. And to continue discussing this
Well,
is not to the benefit of this board,
is that
in my
your-
opinion.
Is that your ruling as the chair?
No, that's
There's
my
no more
opinion.
discussion on it?
No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this whole topic and further discussion of it
Is a dead horse.
is a dead horse right now.
I disagree.
And I think it's-
I think the
can disagree.
ripple effect of what's coming out of that is going to affect this town forever. From town council opinions that aren't written down, to town council opinions that are written down and not shared, to the open meeting law, which, oh gee, we got a communique from the town administrator citing the open meeting law, yet it doesn't seem to apply to him when he sits where he's sitting in other committees. And I have a substantial problem with that.
There's a lot
Okay,
of
so
problems
can,
that you wanted to-
can, hold, before we devolve to problems,
What we can do about it.
Well,
can I,
Is this another executive
I
session?
still haven't finished what I wanted to say.
okay, that, with
I'll
relation
move the
to
question.
this, does anybody, you can move the question and I'll move it if there's no more discussion. Do you wanna say anything
I
else?
just,
I just moved the question.
Do you
There was no
wanna-
more discussion.
I have
No.
one more discussion
That there
here.
is, because she wants to talk about it some more. And I'm not gonna
And
close
I
the
will-
topic till everybody has
I only
their
have
say.
want this one statement
Go
to
ahead,
say,
go
air
for
it
it.
out.
Everybody gets one last shot.
What do we display to other people besides the town? Hey, folks, you have to follow the bylaws, but we don't.
Oh, you mean as a school building committee member?
Right.
Um,
What does that say to those people out there that we go through all this process?
Luckily,
we have
that's
how
not a
many-
planning board issue.
How many site reviews that we have going on the table
that's
now?
a, that's a state law that grants an exemption to them.
So anyway, what does that say to them people? You know,
Because the
Hey, you
legislature
people,
grants an exception
you
to
don't need
48.
you don't need to pay consultant fees because you don't we don't
Can
apply.
we deal with your motion, please?
I'm
And then
getting ready
have-
to deal with the
and
motion.
Further this discussion.
Any more discussion? Okay. I'm gonna call the question, so, just so I get it right, Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong, please. The motion was that Tilly says, if the school building committee should come before the committee for a meeting, that
You mean the board, us?
the board for a meeting,
Yeah.
and notice I did not say a hearing, which a site plan approval would be. We used the term meeting. I'm sure Tilly used that specifically. That we would allow and get the services of the town consultant. All right? All in favor?
Hi.
Did you want to add anything about?
No?
the co-
that-
who's
that's
paying?
just the
Motion's the motion.
All right.
Hi.
I'm gonna say aye too.
All opposed?
No.
No.
No. Motion fails. To, what was that? No,
Two to three.
2 to 3.
Two.
2 ayes, 3 nays, no abstentions. We're drinking a lot of water. Can we hold off for a second while I go pee?
No, go ahead. As the vice chair,
As the vice chair, you can do it. Go for it, baby. Get in there.
we're going to recess for 5 minutes.
By voting in favor of what she said, it's because it's better than nothing. It's not because I think it's right.
I think you need to look up the definition of deliberation.
And we're back here live with the planning board. This is the continuation of the meeting that was started on March 27th, 2013. And we are now moving on into, or continuing, I guess, the
No, I'm not finished.
number one, under member of public reports, vote of the school building committee, and it sounds like this is going to continue on. Comments?
Hang on,
Anyone?
hang on.
Who would
Mr.
like the
Chairman.
floor?
I thought I had the floor.
Mr. Rich, go for it. You have the floor.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Rich.
as I said before we took the break,
And thank you for that, my apology.
I was asked if there was a process that the school building committee, some school building committee members felt would be a meeting in the middle of the road. If there was,
Is this a question that was asked to you at the meeting?
outside of the meeting.
Oh, so one member of the school building committee asked you a question as a private citizen,
Two members were standing there,
Okay.
and they asked me a question.
but not a quorum.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so it was not an action taken by the school building committee as a whole. Go ahead, I'm
No,
sorry, I just
would
want to
hope-
clarify.
I would hope you'd have more faith in me having a communication with somebody.
I don't know how anybody communicates anymore. So easy to communicate. They could have tweeted you.
Isn't that special? They couldn't tweet me. I'm not on Twitter.
All right. Moving.
If there was a common ground, if they could come in on a limited, is it possible for them to come in on a limited site plan approval, meaning specific bullet points? My thought is, should we inquire of town council if that is allowable, number one? Number two, if it is allowable and we do have the limited site plan review, are they then bound by our orders of conditions under the limited circumstances? Meaning, if they decided to come in for limited site plan review on drainage, on roads, sidewalks, on public safety, accessibility, access and egress, parking and dimensional requirements, that would fall in there. I would, and I don't think we need a motion, and if you need a motion, I'll put it in the form of a motion, to seek the answer to that question in writing from town council.
I think it's a question worth answering. I think it's worth, not gonna be a multi-million-dollar question for town council to answer it.
I would hope not.
And it sort of sets the guide rules, what,
Well,
is
given
there a
that
point or isn't
it
there?
wasn't something asked by the school building committee, but only one or two members, as you said, I'd be reluctant to ask anything of town council on what one or two members wanted to know the answer to.
Then I'll put it in the form of a motion, because I'd like an answer to the question.
Okay. So, what was your motion, I'm sorry? Mr. Rich moves,
That we communicate with town council in writing and ask for a written response to the following question.
communicate with town council and ask the following question.
Should the school building committee and/or its representatives, architects, and all of that stuff decide to First of all, can they apply for limited site plan approval?
Can the SBC apply for limited site plan approval? Is it as simple as that? I like it, it's pretty good.
If they can,
Oh, two questions. Question one, can the school building committee apply for limited site plan approval? Part B or two, or whatever you want to call it.
is there anything precluding the planning board from accepting an application for limited site plan approval?
Accepting an application. Is there anything precluding the planning board from accepting an application for limited site plan approval? And I'm assuming you have another question?
In the situation of, and it's all couched on in the situation of this school building, because that falls into a different, it's an exempted use.
Technically, that
so-
answers the question.
beg your
Because
pardon?
they're not required.
No, I didn't ask if they were required.
Right.
That's not in the motion.
Yeah, all under the
What I said was,
auspices.
can they come in, which they will, it's their,
Chris,
I got you, I understand.
all under the auspices of chapter 40A.
yeah, as governed by, under the governance of chapter 48.
Under the governance. Chapter 48. Okay, the motion is, here we go. Mr. Rich moves that we communicate with town council and ask the following question: can the school building committee apply for limited site plan approval? Two, if the answer is affirmative,
If they can.
if they can, is there anything precluding the planning board from accepting an application for limited site plan approval? And number three, all of this is under chapter 48,
It's not.
under the governance of chapter 48.
All right, I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, Tilly moves, Tilly seconds.
Site, are you just trying to get something in writing? Because we already know site plan approval is not in 48.
My
They're
question,
claiming
Well,
that
he was
site
asked the
plan,
question, so.
they're claiming
Hold it for a
that
minute.
site plan approval is in 48.
Who?
They're saying it's in the zoning, it's an exempted use under our zoning bylaw.
Okay.
I still have not yielded my position on that it's not part of, that it is part of the zoning bylaw.
Can we hear from Bob?
And that's gonna be addressed after this.
what is a limited site plan approval? What does that mean?
As I said earlier,
Nothing in our bylaws, baby.
to come in for,
Something which is not defined in our bylaws.
drainage. I don't interrupt you.
I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that it could be interpreted that maybe it's a lesser included application. You can apply for site plan review, and limited site plan review might be less than site plan review. But part of, like,
Okay. Oh, let's go ahead, go for it.
come in for site plan review from this body for the limited purposes, as I said, for drainage, for public safety access and egress. They decide what bullets they want this board to issue orders of conditions, to review it technically and give our opinions and orders of conditions on.
Now,
And I stress orders of conditions.
right, they voted for a site plan review, and then they voted against a full site plan.
Full site plan review. And as I told
Our
you,
understanding.
I
So your question then is,
I was asked by participants in that meeting if that was possible, and if it was possible, they may be amenable to something like that. But they voted down full site plan review. And being the seeker of common ground, I'm giving it my best shot
right, and I
if there's a common ground.
absolutely get that.
I want to
and-
make sure it's, number one, legal, and number two, that if we issue orders and conditions out of it, that
So it's
Is
not a
it-
waste of our time.
Is it an
Exactly.
available option?
that I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want them to say, well, we didn't have to come before you anyways, we don't like what we see, and see you later, bye.
We don't like your ideas.
Okay.
I'd like, though, I'd like to try to figure out a way that we can like put a bow around this and wrap it up. Because this is a very frustrating conversation for all of us involved. I'm the least senior in this group, but I understand that we provide a very important service to the town that's being refused, essentially.
Exempted under state law.
Exempted, right, but we offered to provide that service above and beyond what is required of the SBC to do. There's gotta be some point at which we don't come back to the well. That we say, okay, we made you the offer, we made you, and what, I'm not saying I'm not in favor of this. What I'm saying is that I'd like us to kind of come to an agreement about how far do we wanna go with this?
I told these people I would try and find out. I just fulfilled my commitment to trying to find out. If the board decides they don't want that information,
I mean, the
I'm only
SBC.
one vote.
Well,
No,
Oh.
not them, this
what
board.
I would have to ask is if the school building committee was, as a committee, curious about this question. They stated many times that they have access to town council through the town administrator, and they could clearly ask this question. And, well, I just think they have the option to do that anyway. There's a motion on the
They cer-
floor,
I'm not,
and
They certainly do.
let them go through it first, Gary, and
They,
with no objections from the members, I'd be happy to.
yeah.
can I speak on this issue here?
If Bob
For-
and everybody, sure.
I would like to wrap it up as well,
Mm-hmm.
as Bob
I think
stated.
we've heard a lot of time.
But I think that what we do know about a site approval process,
We as a planning board?
regardless, right, is that it is not in 40A. Now,
It's not
40,
a zoning issue.
yes, so zoning Act 40A dictates how amendments are put in. Town meeting, whatever, how you post a hearing, the whole process. This is thrown out for site approval process, the facts that we have. I'm just giving you facts. So therefore, the only association that we have in our process is subdivision regs. Is it possible that we can come up with a process to follow that guideline, posting what we want for educational, religion, and agricultural uses as regs? Follow that process. Have the notice, have the meeting set, and then we vote on it. And then we set it up like we do now. Hold on now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like we do now, we follow the process for a site approval as a special permit, which it is not. That's the process we follow. we do everything in the 40A, we post the hearing, we get it in the paper, we get the abutters list, and that's basically
Hearing?
closed.
Did you say a hearing? Hearing?
No, it's a
I didn't
meeting
think
because
this-
it's not
Oh.
a special permit. But
Oh,
the rest of
okay.
the process is basically a special
Hearing
permit process.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. Like it or
Um,
not, that's what it is.
And this
A
is
lot
where,
of it we pulled out from the special permit process. And I think maybe we could pull out subdivision reg process for doing an abbreviated or limited site approval.
As an approach to develop a structure
Right.
under which we could do a limited site plan.
And we could get that legal ad, we could get that hearing in what, 3 weeks?
legal ad for what?
As if we were having, like we do for the subdivision regs. We have to post it.
That's a public hearing process.
Right, right. But we don't have to do the we can do a public hearing if you want. But I think that should
Under
be.
what law?
Mr. Chairman,
This board can't just make up laws as it sees fit to have
Well,
special meetings and special rules.
Well, we
Mr.
have.
Chairman.
We have it.
Have?
The,
Mr.
si-
Chairman.
the site plan approval,
We didn't do that. Town meeting did that.
but we didn't
We
have to
proposed
do
it.
it. We didn't have to do it. If 40A dictates the bylaws for zoning, and this is not in the zoning act,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have to do that. We just went ahead and did it.
I don't think I was elected to create new hearing processes.
Do we come to?
I think I said I was gonna uphold the laws on the books. Now, if what you're talking about is something that you wanna propose to town meeting to add to this.
No.
To add
No, I
limited
don't-
site plan approval, and you
No.
list all the
I think it
definitions
should
and
be-
Mr. Chairman.
requirements, then I'll
I
probably
think it
support
should be
you.
excluded.
Mr. Chairman,
Huh?
if I may, on my motion,
Yeah, on your motion.
my motion is to ask
Town
town
council.
council if there is
I
limited
understand.
site plan
I understand.
review.
Okay. And,
If he says yes,
Hmm?
then you go to the next question.
yep,
So let's find out if there is.
sounds like you're moving the question.
I don't mean to shut my colleagues off,
No, I know, it sounds like you're moving the question.
but the saddle's on the ground. The
Yeah.
horse is dead.
Yeah. Anybody
I
have any
also
other
have another
comments?
question speaking on my motion,
The horse meat factory.
if I may.
Would you just pick the horse up?
Yeah, the ownership of the property is the town of Georgetown, is that correct?
My understanding is,
Isn't the final decision with all of this lying in the Board of Selectmen?
all of what?
The decision on what's going to be done
And how?
and how at the Pembroke School. The new Pembroke School. On
I
that
don't
real-
know what the charter of the school building committee is,
I tried to find it. Gee, there
so I
isn't
can't
one.
answer that question.
There
Then-
isn't one?
There is
Then
not
it
one.
falls to the motion under which they were created.
I beg your pardon?
Then it falls to the motion under which they were created.
Okay, Gary, can you help us? We have a selectman in the
Yeah, but
audience.
that's,
But
I wanted to bring
how-
that point
How
up.
is that germane to this?
It's already in the record, so it's
I
under
understand.
discussion. No, I'd like to move the question.
Now you want to move the question. Okay, we can always revisit. Does anybody need me to, but essentially, we're asking town council, can there be such a thing as limited site plan approval? Is there anything precluding the planning board from accepting a limited site plan approval, all under the auspices, the governance of chapter 40A? Any more discussion? All in favor of having Howard call town council or write to town council about that?
Everything in writing, please.
Yeah, right, no kidding. All in favor?
Aye.
Was that an aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Let the record show that the motion carries 4-1. Okay. Now, can we move on to the business of this board?
No.
Or you wanna
I have.
hang in there again? Okay, let's stay right on one now. Vote of the school building committee. File
Vote
that
of the
under
School
this.
building committee. During the school building committee, it was brought up that there was concern about this board litigating against the school building committee. And that, in fact, did change one member's vote.
I don't remember that occurring at the meeting. I can't wait to see the minutes.
I can't wait to see the minutes either, especially what they're paying the guy taking the minutes.
They're gold plated.
Anyway, your point being, I'm sorry? Moving
My
to
point
to a
is-
motion or something?
That the members there were obviously aware of, and it was on the agenda, as mistakenly or not, it was on the agenda, litigation on the Pembroke School.
You're referring to the planning board agenda,
I'm referring to the planning board
March
agenda.
13th, 2013.
That's correct. And had anyone taken the time to inquire, they would have been told the reason why this board discussed
Potential litigation.
potential litigation. And I think all of us agree that it was discussed because as we are charged with doing a job as planning board members, it was discussed as potential litigation, which Attorney Farrell has pointed out.
No, come on now, be nice.
Wait it
I'm
out.
not gonna be nice because I'm tired of people not trained in the law trying to tell me what it says. Or trying to tell other people what it says.
I'm presuming what you're saying is, it seemed as though litigation was imminent.
I thought, at the time that I asked for,
I know.
at the time that I asked for
It did seem imminent.
the meeting, I believe I absolutely expressed about the opinion
And I
about
understand that, Chris. So,
obtaining an
moving
attorney.
on to what we were going for
I
here.
want it out in the open,
Oh, understood. It's out in the open. Okay.
and that it was not a violation of the open meeting law, that this board
I haven't
knows the
seen a
open
letter
meeting law.
from anyone coming to this board complaining that it was a violation. And if they understand
No,
the process,
but the
they write a letter to us and we respond within 14
The
days.
last memo from, that Mr. Farrell sent to you infers that that executive session was a violation of the open meeting law.
I didn't get that inference. What I got was a
Specifically says
copy.
it.
What I got was a copy of the
Latest,
latest
open meeting law
open
guide
meeting
book.
law guide.
He specifically
The town-
stated in the, where, is the email that accompanied that going to you here?
I just got it tonight, Chris.
No,
No, this was attached to the email too.
That's financial management review.
No, I'm sorry.
Do we have a copy of that?
That email
you
specifically
didn't get a copy?
inferred
You didn't get one?
that
Not the
the
email.
previous
The open meeting
agenda.
law. The new
Hi,
version.
can I talk?
I'm asking if we have a copy of the open meeting law that was sent. There you
Yeah,
go.
it's there.
Just so you
in the
know,
packet.
just so you know, that is an updated version of the open meeting law, March 2013, just this month. Just this month. And that was what was sent to me as the chair, CC'd to Howard by Mike Farrell. And he pointed out that he couldn't help but notice that there were some executive session notations on our latest tonight's agenda. And he wanted to point out, rightly so, that page 8 deals with all of it. And all of the reasons that, under which a board may enter executive session. And I wrote back to him and explained that the 3 meetings that we had, I was glad, very, very happy and glad that he sent it. I didn't know there was an updated version. But I was very happy to point out that the board did it 100% correct on all 3 of those. And if we do it again tonight, we'll do it that way again. It was voted properly, it was motioned, it was voted, it was entered properly, all the descriptions were made.
And the
we followed
discussion,
it T by T by T.
and the discussions were proper.
Why wouldn't it be? And at such point in time when that litigation, that potential litigation may or may not be any longer relevant, then this board will vote to release those minutes.
And if you want it open, then you should say that you volunteered to get an opinion from an attorney that does land use without the town paying for it. And I think that was what the first meeting was.
Are you motioning, Tilly, to open the minutes? Is that what I'm hearing?
I
You're
thought
talking
that's
about them.
That's what Chris,
I think the minutes accurately reflect what was said.
Okay.
yeah.
And so
And
where
I
are we
think that
going
should
with
be
this?
said. I think that should be said. I mean, I think that it's unfair for another board to criticize us. You know, if somebody wants to find fault with process,
excuse me, Tilly.
a letter should be done.
I don't remember this board receiving any communication from the school building
Well-
committee or any other board that criticized us.
Well, I don't know.
Let's not devolve to rumor, innuendo. Let's keep this as it should be. This is a board. Personal and private communications between individuals aren't criticism and don't imply that they come from another board in this town. If this planning board writes a letter to the XYZ board and said, we think you're a bunch of idiots, that's one thing, and that's dealt with. Did we get any correspondence criticizing us, Howard? No. Thank you. So let's keep it there.
Mr. Chairman.
You're on a board now.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go back to my question about the ownership of the property.
A relatively good question, a very good question.
I noticed that Selectman Gary Fowler is in the audience and anxious to, or I hope anxious to, share some of his thoughts on it.
Well, now that there isn't a motion on the floor, I'd welcome his comments and thoughts and
Thank you.
dive in.
I was at last night's meeting. Somewhat disappointed in the way it came down also. It seems like a.
Gary, why don't you sit up there, because there's a mic so everybody can
Oh,
hear you.
yeah,
okay.
yeah. They might have trouble hearing you, buddy.
Remember, I'm
The record
here
shows
tonight.
Selectman Fowler
I
is
am
here.
Gary Fowler, Selectman, but I'm here also as a citizen concerned about how things get done in our town. I like the things that you just said about being open and above. Let's not go to innuendo. So let me try to get it right, what I'd like to say. We've, as a selectman, I think to what Chris is going, I believe the Pembroke School Building Committee comes under the authority of the selectmen. We form the committee, vote on them. They report back to us. I believe most of what goes through Mass School Building Authority goes through the Board of Selectmen. We take a vote as to whether it's going to move forward or not. So I would say that it somewhat falls back to us, yes. And I've heard a lot of discussion about you're tired of this. You've been talking a lot about it, and I can see your board is getting tired of it.
Burnt out over it.
I'd like to make a suggestion. You can follow up on it if you want or not, but as a Board of Selectmen member, we've had many joint meetings over this school. We've had joint meetings with the school committee. We've had joint meetings with the finance committee on this whole thing moving forward. We've never had a joint meeting with the planning board. What would be wrong with having a joint meeting of the selectmen and the planning board
Well,
and openly putting our stuff on the table?
well, let me,
And, well, but let me finish. And as to, you've got some questions about Mr. Farrell, the rulings and that. He also, I believe, falls under the authority of the Board of Selectmen. And if you're disappointed in the way things happened last night, I would think that the Board of Selectmen would be where you would go. First, before going to attorney. I know that I surely want to follow up on some of what happened last night as a citizen and a member of the Board of Selectmen. Thank you.
Emily, if I could ask you a question, please, Gary? The school building committee, as you know it, and it's fair to say I don't know. As far as you know, is there a written charge that they are allowed to make final decisions, or do they only advise the Board of Selectmen as to their decisions?
I don't know of a written charge. I know that they advise us. They come, that's from
Okay, so
my
So,
experience is
so,
it
so,
comes back.
so in reality, the vote, whether or not this project goes to the planning board, is a function of the Board of Selectmen, if you will, and not the school building committee.
I would be my personal opinion. My personal opinion would be, yes, if you were disappointed in that board, that you could come to the Board of Selectmen and say that, what do we think? Could we overrule them? I think we do it. We follow their advice. Do we always have to follow their advice? We vote on it.
So you're saying you listen
So-
to their
so
advice and
we
then
listen to their
you vote
advice,
on whether or not you're
and then
going
we
to do
vote.
it.
And I don't know that all them votes have been posted. That's gonna be a vote.
Were they on the agenda?
It's an interesting issue, isn't it?
Hey, I'm getting myself in trouble, but I'm
I
used to
mean,
it.
the ramifications of a decision like that could affect any board, especially
Yes.
such as yours.
I'm concerned.
Does that mean all of the votes to cut checks?
I can't answer that. I'm concerned, so.
And the vote to sign the contract?
Chris, I drove home last night after here thinking, I asked Michelle to reread it, didn't happen. And as the meeting went along, I sort of picked up the way I think it went down, and I drove home thinking, boy, there's a lot of things in town that maybe need to be redone.
Yeah, it's, to me, that's
I mean, but let's not go any further.
Well, like
I
believe
said, as
with
a-
respect to that, Gary, my understanding is Howard's gonna get, clarification on that for us
Right.
with respect to that vote, the necessity of having the word vote on the agenda before you can actually make a vote.
we're gonna find that out.
We're gonna find that out.
This
And-
is something that happened before.
And
I
the other
came in.
thing that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to know is just what I asked. Does the school building committee advise the Board of Selectmen? Do they make the final decision? Or they just rubber stamp whatever the school building committee says? And,
What a way
You
to
know-
put the question.
I beg your pardon?
What a way to put the question.
My answer would be the selectmen take a vote on, after they come to us with their advice.
May I ask, with all due respect, seriously, how is the answer to that question relevant?
Mr. Chairman,
Because what is.
I took an oath to do
I
what I
understand.
felt the
Well,
planning,
what it sounds like to me, Chris, if I'm not mistaken, is the only reason one would need that question answered would be if you are in some way trying to figure a way to appeal the vote that was taken by the school building committee.
oh no, absolutely not.
Okay.
I'm doing just what Mr. Farrell did. I'm exploring all of the alternatives to make sure it was all done correctly.
If I may.
It's
while
true,
I'm
these questions are
Sitting
coming
here,
up now.
I mean, if as a board, you feel strongly that this should go before you, I see nothing wrong with appealing to the Board of Selectmen. And as a citizen, I wish you would.
Gary, I have to tell you what this member's thoughts are on the flip side of that coin. I mean, we've jumped through hoops, and what's it going to take? If those drainage calculations aren't done correctly, and Elm Street is put underwater, which theoretically, when you clear that amount of land in that area, the amount of runoff, the amount that's not gonna be absorbed by the number of trees you're taking out, could put Elm Street underwater right up through the center of town.
I've seen a similar situation in my backyard.
And until, and that doesn't seem to be an issue. Now, the extra added cost, if that happens, oh, that falls on us, the town.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, please.
Well, I think we're just discussing and pontificating here.
No, I think this is
Is
good
there something
conversation.
that you
No,
wish
I
to do?
disagree
Is
with
there
you.
an action
I
that you want
disagree with
this
you.
board to take?
I disagree with you.
Is there an action that you wish this board
I
to
think it's
take,
good to
Chris?
have you here.
Either the board wishes to
I
take an
know, yes, I
action,
think
or it
this
does
is good.
not. Is there a motion you'd like to make? Because now, we've been on this for one bullet point out of 9 that I see. That is the business of this board, the real business of this board.
Hold on a second.
You know
As
something,
a-
Harry?
And we spent an hour and a
Business of
half.
this board is what the members of this board decide is the business.
I
If
understand.
as
I
the
could-
chair and a
As a
moderator.
member of the school building
Excuse
committee,
me,
may
Tilly.
I explain?
In a moment you can. Let's just get one thing straight. Let's get this straight. We have an agenda. This is one bullet point on it. Motions have been made instructing this man to do what he has to do. Do you have another one that you'd like to see done?
I would like to know
Okay.
if the school I would like to propose a motion
Motion, there you go.
to inquire
To inquire, have Howard ask
of the Board of Selectmen
of BOS,
if there is a written charge,
there is a written
charter of the
charter
school building committee,
of the school building committee.
what the duties and responsibilities of that committee are,
What, okay.
and if they advise the Board of Selectmen as to final decisions, or do they make final decisions?
Okay. Everybody clear on that question?
Can you read that back for Wendy so she doesn't?
No, I can't, because it's just, Wendy's gonna have to do it. That's why you paid. Read it back.
Well, what I have is motion to inquire from the Board of Selectmen if there is a written charge as to the responsibility, and if they advise
Responsibilities of the school building committee.
responsibilities of the school.
If there is, would it be provided to this board? And is
Their role,
the role of the school building committee advisory to the Board of Selectmen? Or do they make final decisions?
everybody good with the question?
Yeah,
Good? Second? Do I hear a second?
second.
Second by Tim. Tim seconds. Discussion? Bob?
Sounds like a
It's pretty easy.
question,
Easy question, right? Mm-hmm. Easy question?
to me, it sounds like a question that, if we get an answer, then what?
Simple question, simple answer, right?
For what purpose?
I don't know, but,
I mean, that's
it
my.
sure
that's my
sounds like
question.
it would be
Where
a
are we
question.
going- Where are we going?
Where am I going with it?
Yeah.
I want
To
to
appeal.
know if the Board of Selectmen are now going to have to vote on the vote of the school building committee on whether or not to ratify it or not.
So why wouldn't
Well,
we
that's
just
what you
ask
should
the Board
say.
of Selectmen just that question?
Well, yeah, I mean.
That's what you should say.
It sounds.
That's what it's asking.
But
Okay.
it sounds,
what it's
it
asking.
sounds like, I mean, Gary was talking about, and suggested a joint meeting where maybe some of these questions could be addressed directly.
Can I verify, because I'm on the building committee, okay?
Yeah, Chili, what's your charter?
The charter is from MSBA, And one of the reasons that we have an OPM is that they follow the process set up by them. It's very stringent, it's spelled out in writing. And the votes that come to the selectmen are prior to meetings that the MSBA have on seeing that the process is being done correctly.
I'm sorry, I didn't
I
understand
don't
that
understand
at all,
either.
Tilly.
The MSBA
Are
and
you,
it's.
are you are you an advisory board, or do you make adjudicatory decisions, executive decisions?
Yeah,
We don't make
fiduciary
any
responsibility.
executive sessions.
You're advisory?
That's the selectmen,
Okay, so,
okay?
So you're advisory.
So-
But the process that let me try to explain
Yeah.
it. Don't interrupt me.
no,
It's
I'm
my
not,
thought.
go ahead.
It's getting close to 10 o'clock.
I know, because we've dealt with one issue tonight.
All right. What it is that it's a partnership with the town and MSBA, the state. Okay? They have the guidelines all set up on the steps necessary. And we have the meeting based on the OPM, seeing that we follow those steps. And our decisions are basically those criterias. Like, for instance, let me give you an example, is where the building is going to be structured. Was it gonna be the fields, or was it gonna be in the woods? The school building committee made that decision that it was going to be in the woods. That was the vote. And, as you probably were there that day.
David?
Yeah, so that vote, the OPM, that was, I think, one meeting, but it might have been added on additional stuff. So that was presented to the selectmen to have it in the woods. So
Okay.
they had to vote on that as well. And then it went to the MSBA, and they had to look at it. I think it was a schematic design feasibility study process. If you wanted to know the process specifically, it's all on the computer.
I think Chris wants to know, and it sounds like this question would be asked of the Board of Selectmen in the motion.
Yes,
Is that correct?
absolutely.
So, I think, as well as you've answered the question, the motion asks the question of the Board of Selectmen. Comments?
And on the
Statement.
motion, to my colleagues, Mr. Chairman, I've couched it the way I have, because I want to make sure, as a planning board member, I've done everything that's expected of me. And if there is another meeting that I need to go and verbalize exactly what I said at the other meeting to a different board, who may have a little bit more experience, maybe not. Maybe so, maybe not. But they're being advised by a board, if it is advisory, and I suggest to you it is, that the advice they're getting is incorrect.
So,
But the issue about a site approval process, let's call that the topic, is not mentioned in the MSBA rules. That's a town issue.
But Tilly,
That's,
I know it's a town issue. The owner of the property is the Board of Selectmen
that's true.
for the town. The owner of the property makes the decisions. I'd like to know if the owner of the property is going to have a vote on it.
Well, say that in your motion. You didn't
Yeah, I mean,
really.
if you want the
You didn't really say
selectmen to
that.
intercede, and
I'm not asking them to intercede. I'm asking my question for a specific reason. I want to know if the dog's wagging the tail, or if the tail's wagging the dog.
I don't know that that's a planning board issue. I mean, that's a private
It's a
citizen
planning
issue.
board issue inasmuch as we're talking about site plan review. And I still believe this is required to be under site plan review. As the law says, it's undecided territory.
That's why the designer there says that half of the towns that he's worked with have it, and half of the towns don't. I mean, it's a decision
Wanna vote?
strictly for the
Want to
town.
vote on this, or what do you think?
I don't know what the motion is.
The motion is to inquire of the BO of the Board of Selectmen if the school building committee's charter and what their duties are, and if they're, excuse me, if they're advisory, or if they have the authority to do executive decisions.
And if I may,
If I've
who
summarized it.
seconded the motion?
I did, I believe.
And if you would allow me to add on to that, and if they are advisory, and if this is going to be an agenda item for the selectmen, that this board be advised the date, time, and place of that meeting.
So moved, so seconded, I guess.
Can I ask why you're just not coming out and saying, hey, we override them? Because that's what you're looking for. Just be plain about it.
No,
Okay.
I'm not gonna say
You're not
that
gonna do
inasmuch as the board said we didn't like our last vote. So, we're gonna find someone to say it was no good, and we're gonna take another one.
So, Wendy, will you give me the whole full-blown, modified, souped-up motion?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I know, sorry. That works. That's why I get the big money, kid. Want a chocolate?
And you wanna know something,
Want a
Mr. Chairman?
chocolate?
I have to tell you, I take offense to that comment.
What?
Why
What
don't you
comment?
just,
Which one?
why don't you just say that you want them to override it?
Yeah,
I want the town to know where the buck stops. That this board has done everything that it is charged to do under the statute to enforce the planning rules and regs.
my only question is, how far will you go?
How far will I go?
Yeah,
To the end.
I'm beginning to see that.
I think,
Personally, I agree with Chris.
yeah,
I'm beginning to see that.
I think so too, because,
Want a kiss?
I don't always agree with Chris. I don't even, I rarely agree with Chris, but
Okay.
this time I agree.
I think because they're
Serotonin.
responsible, because their charge, the selectmen's charge, is the town's property. Now, it's possible that the school
Well, wait a
department-
minute, is it theirs? Hang on,
Harry's trying to buy our vote.
hang on, it might not be, it might be the school committee.
It might be the school board.
Oh, wow,
So in that case, it should be the school committee.
no.
What, who owns?
I don't know.
Who owns the property?
No, whose charge it is.
No, the owner of the I'm asking
All right.
Okay,
the owner
well,
of the property.
Is everybody ready to vote on that motion?
Find in the beginning of this.
is everybody ready to vote on the motion?
I am.
I am.
Bob, you ready to vote?
Yeah.
Tilly, you ready to vote? Motion's been made to, ask the Board of Selectmen. Wendy, you wanna read that back, please? I know it's a rather lengthy motion. Maybe we'll,
Motion to inquire from the Board of Selectmen if there is a written charge as to the responsibility of the school building committee, if they would, if they would be, if it would be provided to the board, and is the role of the school building advisory to the Board of Selectmen, or do they make final decisions? And if advisory, and an agenda item with the Board of Selectmen, the planning board will, is to be advised
of the date and time of the meeting?
as to date,
Time and place of the meeting.
time, and place
I'm sorry, of what meeting?
of meeting.
The meeting that he's basically
ratify the
asking
vote.
them to put on their agenda.
Oh,
If the board is,
The select,
on the
if I can
agenda.
summarize, if the
Selectmen
Board
put-
of Selectmen are gonna vote on the vote of the school building committee, then the planning board wants to be informed of.
Yeah, he's
that's good.
it's essentially,
I kinda,
sounds
I
like the
kinda
board
think
is asking for a,
That should be more direct in a sense. No?
I don't think you can make it any more direct than that.
I think, if I went to the meeting, I would like to know,
what meeting are you talking about?
if I went to the selectmen's meeting,
Uh-huh.
I just wanna know when it's on the agenda. It's not what's gonna be discussed. I just think we need to
So
know
the-
if it's gonna be put on the agenda.
Just, could I be, just, in other words, the trigger here is, if it is executive and they make the decision on the school building committee,
Then the
then this
decision
isn't
is
on the
made.
agenda. But if it turns out that they're an advisory board to some other board, then you're essentially requesting, this board is requesting
To be notified.
that this be placed on the Board of Selectmen agenda, and then be notified of that.
Yeah.
That's not what the
That's the
motion
effect,
says.
that's the effect.
That's not what the motion says.
No, that
Okay, well,
isn't what the motion says.
The
maybe-
My
motion
point.
says that if it is advisory and the Board of Selectmen vote to ratify the actions of the school building committee,
Right,
and that is an agenda item,
Okay.
that this board be notified
Uh-huh.
of the date, time, and place of that meeting.
And there could be multiple meetings, right?
Right. So we need to
We get the
specify
first one.
that, you know, what we're talking about is ratification of the vote of the school building committee to not go to the planning board.
That's correct.
Uh-huh, that's what I kinda figured. Okay, well, everybody's clear on the motion now, right?
But it, yeah,
Oh, what, go ahead. Go ahead,
no, that's
go ahead, give it another kick. That horse ain't gonna feel it.
No, that's just not fair.
No more
Those
com-
comments, just unfair.
It's 9:30 at night.
It's 9:30 at night.
Well, how much of this
You might
planning
think
board's
this is
business have we
unimportant.
done?
You might think this is unimportant, but
I think it's done. I think
that's
it's
one
over.
person, one member of
I
this
do.
board's.
I do. Absolutely.
opinion.
And I'm sure we'll probably have a lot more to discuss later on this evening. I'm going to call the question now. You've all heard it. Essentially, we're asking the Board of Selectmen various things. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Nay. Motion carries 3-2. Make it happen, please, Howard. Anything else while we're on the first topic of the evening? Okay, glad we got that done. Second topic of the evening. In 1997, as discovered by Tilly.
What is this one?
As discovered by you, Tilly, and me, when we were at the, talking with Howard, and we were reviewing,
Town sign bylaw.
yeah, a number of votes taken by town meeting. We were exploring. In 1997, annual town meeting, Article 47, the town voted to make a modification to the town's sign bylaw. In that town meeting minutes, we've read that rooftop signs were prohibited by a vote of the town meeting voters. That, for some, and I'm assuming it's a Scrivener's error, never made it into the zoning code. This is something that's, needs to be corrected, because this was voted, but it got dropped somehow.
Can I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Right, in your supplemental packet, you will find Amendment 104, Article 46 of the 1997 Annual Town Meeting.
This document.
This is blue
Right.
pack, right?
So if you look at the
This is
bottom,
blue pack?
the blue packet,
How far out in are we, Howard, please?
it's gonna be all the last pages. So
Oh, okay.
at the bottom it says page 61. No, go,
At the end?
right, it's gonna have a big X on the front. And I
Before or
need
after
you to
open
follow
meeting
me
law?
as we go through the documents.
Before or after open meet?
Keep going, keep going, keep going,
We're there, we're getting
keep
there.
going, keep flipping,
Okay.
right?
Whoop,
don't flip it.
Article
going.
46,
Keep going.
okay. What number, 62 on the bottom?
61 on the bottom.
61 on the bottom. Okay.
Okay, so if you flip that page.
Hang on one second, hang on one second. Please, if you would, Howard, hang on one second. We're looking for
It's
this
in
packet.
the blue supplemental packet handed out
I
tonight.
took it all the
Oh,
time.
you blew it apart.
The front of the stapled pieces.
There you go, Chris, underneath that pile,
Okay.
right there. Okay,
That's it.
okay, now flip that page,
Okay,
and you will see what that amendment 104, or Article 46 was, what was proposed at the town meeting. That's on the warrant. That's a copy of what was on the warrant. If you flip the next page where it says 41 and 147 on the bottom, Those are the meeting minutes, the annual town meeting minutes. It's Article 46, and it outlines to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 165. The second part being to see if the town will vote to amend 165 of the Code of the Town. In Chapter 165, the words "or roof" in the first sentence. And then you see on the next page where it says 42, C, to see if the town will vote to amend 165 zoning of the code. And then it elaborates on billboards. Now, there's an explanation, there's a motion. To summarize, the following is the complete text of Article 46, motions A and B. So motion C was passed over. So,
And which one was C, to see if the
C
town will
was
vote to
about
amend?
billboards.
Billboards,
okay,
signs and other advertising devices. Okay. C
So-
being billboards not permitted. So how did this change the code?
so what happened is if you go to this page, right here,
The first one?
right? This one right here has the all crosses on it. And on the left side margin it says what was sent to E-code.
Where are you, buddy?
Keep flipping.
Keep going back?
No, not going.
Oh,
to
moving
the
forward.
back.
I'm going the wrong way. Go ahead.
Move forward.
No wonder it got messed
Sent
up.
to E-code.
Right, sent to E-code. So what I've shown you was what the warrant was, what the minutes of the meeting were, and the result of those minutes is what is summarized in saying sent to E-code. So this is what E-code received.
Howard, I'm not finding where you are.
No, wrong direction.
So page 5.
Page 5 on the bottom.
Harry, you're going the wrong direction. You gotta lift the page up and move to the back.
Okay?
What happens when you're tired?
Right?
Yeah, I know.
No,
Keep going. Keep going.
Past,
You're
All
gonna
of
see
these.
sent to Eco,
Sent
right?
to
Ah, okay.
E-code, okay?
okay, this is what was center of E-code.
Right? Now, after that page, I have included what E-code was listing prior to the 1997 changes. So this is the text that E-code would have edited.
Mm-hmm.
The page after that is what E-code edited to. That's all there, okay?
Okay, and this is as it stands right now.
As it stands right now, so you,
Right.
if you follow me, what occurred was that prior to 1997 annual town meeting, 16565 business district, one sign mounted on the face or roof of the building, not to exceed. And you can see that or roof
That
was
did get removed.
Okay.
Right.
Now, what was thrown up and is considered as the transcribner error occurs after the semicolon.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to 1997, or one sign mounted on the face or roof,
of the building.
and post 1997, mounted on the face or roof of the building. So one or roof was removed, the second
The
was
second
not.
was not.
So
It's just a Scribner's error.
it's a Scribner's error.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yep, so
Now,
essentially we
it's
need
a
to,
Scribner's error because somebody at ECO considered the independent clause before that semicolon to be the first sentence, and the independent clause after the semicolon to be a second sentence. So, if it's consensus of the board, I can send an email saying, please remove or roof. It doesn't need to take any vote, doesn't need to take anything with the town. It was a simple editing error.
Great.
Sounds reasonable.
so that should have, or roof should have been removed. And
Right.
it was not.
The second or
I'll accept
roof.
the motion to have Howard
So
contact E-code
Mhm.
and request the Scrivener's error be corrected. Chris, you made that motion?
yes, I did.
Motion by Chris, seconded by Bob. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Question for the planner.
Thank you for finding that, Tilly.
How would,
Howard, if I may, I would like to beg the indulgence of the board that the building inspector, who would be the one that signs would go to for a permit, be CC'd on this communication,
Right.
if that's all right with the board.
good idea.
Add a CC, okay?
Great idea.
Just so we know.
Under Article 10, it signs, the planning board has jurisdiction, but I will copy the building inspector.
Please do.
So he's aware of this change,
Right,
because it will affect the way he refers sign applications to the planning board.
absolutely, I would think. So, it's nice that we'll communicate with them. Did you want to do something?
Yeah, I just have a question on the last page of that handout. Howard,
Page of the handout.
165-65, business districts. That underlined word "or roof," should that be deleted?
That's the one to be deleted.
Yeah.
That was the error
just
that
the
he
script
coded
is
You
on.
out.
got it, baby.
Got it, okay.
And those show where remember, the warrant article said to remove it in two places. It was removed
They
from
did
there.
it in one place, but
wasn't
didn't get it
removed.
in the other.
Simple
The warrant
error.
article said to remove it from the first sentence, and that is the first sentence, because it's got the semicolon in it.
Okay,
So,
I agree.
Good, we've done that. Site plan approval in chapter 165 Tilly. I believe you requested the addition of this
Where is that one?
on number 3 on our.
Oh, the open
This
meeting?
was, yeah, you,
Yeah.
no, it's site plan approval in chapter 165. You asked to have that added as an agenda item. And I asked Howard to please add it.
Mr. Chairman,
I think we discussed
second, Chris.
what I had in mind to do was, the consideration of site plan approval is not
part of one.
is not in their zoning. It's not zoning. And it shouldn't be listed in zoning.
So essentially what you're saying is you're proposing a change to
The list-
relocate it in
Yeah.
the bylaw?
Right. If it's going to be confusing for people to think that it is zoning, it's not. So it shouldn't be listed there.
should I make a recommendation that that's a substantial topic for us to be discussing? And there's some
Yeah.
important other elements.
Could-
We can bring that up, and Tilly could request additional information from me.
Is everybody all right with Tilly and Howard, you know,
Developing more.
developing a little more information about that and getting a report back to us at maybe a meeting or two from now? We're not gonna be able to bring anything to town meeting this town meeting anyway, so. That would have to be,
And I would also, my 2 cents in all of this is that section of the workshop and at Holy Cross, those 2 attorneys, the 3 of us were in there, Howard, Tilly, and I.
bullet point 4 on the planning office.
Yep.
Mhm.
We should inquire of them. If they have any.
Who were they? Do you remember? You remember the name?
It's in the
It's a-
brochure.
Well, one was an attorney, the other was a consultant with Community Partners Advisors LLC or something like that. I think she drives around and consults with municipalities on issues such as this. So,
They both seem to know their stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you generate a report for us, Howard?
Yeah.
Just to make it a little bit clearer for us? Okay. Open meeting law, as was mentioned earlier,
There's 2 elements to that I wanted the board to be aware of. I provided you with the updated copy. You don't have to get this leather bound, but please keep it for future reference. And the other
vellum?
part,
you couldn't get the vellum button going on the copy machine?
in the second part was a request of a board member that I provide a copy of an open meeting law complaint that was recently involved a fellow municipality in Essex County.
Could I just go back 1 second on this? The copy of the open meeting law guide is missing pages is missing pages
Yours
4
is-
and 5.
The one that was distributed to the board tonight is not.
That's what I have here. Mine is missing. That's what I'm looking at.
Oh, yeah, it goes from page 2, page 3, page 6, page 7.
It's funny that I too had brought that on the agenda, but my issue for bringing this up is that I went on the computer.
We're not referring to this, we're referring to
meeting law.
open meeting law violation by
Why don't we
Newbury.
give them all back to him?
Yeah, that's a good point to recycle.
Newbury.
West Newbury?
All right, you want to talk about that? I didn't know.
No, that's,
That was something that you
Wendy, it's just
requested and
one
you brought
page.
up.
yeah,
Wendy, it's just one page, 4 and 5.
should be able to pull
I
them out.
downloaded a copy from the Attorney General's website, so I can send it out PDF and have hard copies made.
Thanks, Howard.
All
It'd
right,
be really
there's-
nice to have
there's
hard copies of that.
There's two things that I wanted to talk about. One was last Saturday's Newburyport paper had a article in it concerning a complaint for the open meeting law with the West Newbury Board.
The Conservation Commission.
Okay. And what it was is that they had emailed each other. And, I watched so many darn articles.
The Conservation Commission chairperson inadvertently or indirectly, without purpose or intent, had requested opinions of other committee persons.
Oh, right, she was doing the budget for the CPA.
Right.
I got it.
Yeah, they were doing
That's the
some
one.
kind of budget thing where they sent out a report.
They were getting ready for town meeting to present it.
Yeah,
So they got on the email. Go ahead.
Right, so basically she had asked for each of these purposes to give an opinion on the budget. And that, what
via
that became
email.
was, it was, as I believe, twofold. It was deliberation, and it was deliberation among a quorum of the commission.
Yeah.
So if it had been, and you gotta be careful, if it was a communication between two members, back to back, that's fine unless that involves into those two presenting something to the fuller commission.
Yeah.
So,
And what had happened is that it sounded like she was under the gun, she was limited, she had to get it ready quick, so they didn't call an official meeting. They decided to do it over the email. And what she had done is the draft, she sent it all out to everybody, and then they started to make comments.
my read of
So-
it was they were actually developing a document via email by sending it back and forth.
Right,
And
right.
revising. And
Yeah.
at one point, if I'm correct, she said to one of the members,
Yeah.
put what you need to put in here for that part of it.
There were, I guess, 4 emails that were violation, and there was like a couple that wasn't.
3 that weren't.
Yeah.
4 out of the 7 were considered.
Right, so what they do is, this happened back in, before their town meeting, I guess, in June. But the response from, the Attorney General was not until the following March. So that's how long it took.
right, it took,
your
because
response.
it was actually a resident brought the question up.
Yeah,
So,
and that resident had a vendetta.
it was a May 16th, 2012 complaint, and the town council issued the letter on March 11th, 2013.
The
It's a very long
complainant,
process.
the complainant wanted to lower the, tax.
The CPA
And
tax.
it didn't work, it wasn't successful. And so he was, and to tell you the truth, all of the research that I have looked through with the Attorney General responses, and you can go on a computer and get up 5 years worth, every one of them, there's a vendetta. And that's why they run to the Attorney General and want to complain. it's either an employee,
Yeah, being let go.
fuming over something that was mistreated, or in
Somebody
their
wasn't
opinion.
reappointed.
Yeah, or somebody wasn't reappointed.
Especially in West Newbury.
Okay, so the
But
takeaway,
everywhere it was like
what's
that.
the takeaway from this?
Just,
So
in my
the-
opinion, it's
Be careful
FYI.
with your email,
Be
right?
careful how you email each other
Right.
and me.
Right, because you can unintentionally break the
Don't
open
do a
meeting law.
reply all sometimes. And
Yeah, because you don't, even if you just do it to each other, you don't know who's gonna forward it to somebody.
Best
You don't know if that other person is the
No, it's public
quorum.
record too, so.
Yeah.
Best thing is to use a phone, not email.
Yeah. Well, the thing, why
You can
I,
only
that
talk
wasn't,
One person.
And no
at a time.
Facebook, no tweeting.
so try to be careful with that, even if we're under the gun to
Yeah.
get something done. Watch it.
Which brings us on to, I would like to recommend the other subject from the planning office.
Where you wanna go?
Conflict of interest.
Where are we? Oh,
Ongoing
we're down
training.
on number 5 in the planning office?
Right.
Wrapping
Conflict
this
of
bad boy
interest,
up, I'm loving it.
training
Well,
reminder.
After your first page,
After the
after
first
the
page
cover
of the sup-
page,
Yep.
you'll
for it.
see a link to access. I believe I sent this out in January.
Yeah.
If
Already
you,
took it, already did it.
or if you've done it,
Certificate's on file with the town clerk.
Yep.
perfect. If
Mine
you
is too.
haven't, it's good for 2 years.
Yep.
If you haven't, you need to do it.
Yeah, that's the, I
have an
brought
interesting
that up
URL to send you.
because, I printed the thing, I guess in 2 years, but they're going to, the year ends and starts according to their year.
Is it
What
fiscal?
is it,
The
fiscal?
first week in April, I think it is.
Fiscal.
So, by rights, we should, all the boards should be notified that if you haven't done it, you should do it by that deadline. Especially where this seems to be a hot topic. So,
Well, maybe
do
we
it.
should all check and make sure and
And what do we
How
do
do
with
we
it? Just
check?
give it
Oh,
to the
town
clerk?
Just give it to the clerk, or you
Yeah.
give it to me at the
I
next
don't,
meeting,
I
and I'll
did
give it
it,
to
I
the
don't
clerk.
remember, it might have been 5 years
Oh.
ago, I have no idea.
oh, I think you got to do it a little more often than that.
If in
Go in
doubt,
and do
Two,
it.
it's
Just go in
every
and do it
two.
again.
So who,
Even if you, no matter what you do when you take the test, if you make a mistake, don't worry. They'll say you made a mistake, and you get to give your next best answer, and the next best, and the next best, and the next best until you get it right.
and where do you get that info from?
The URL is,
Right there. And you can take the test. What is it?
What
I
kind-
forget what it was. What was it? 10, 20 questions or something?
look
All
on
multiple choice.
underneath your cover. Is that it right there?
Yeah.
And it's not
Link
heavy.
to access the
Yeah,
program,
okay.
right?
I know I did it, but it might have been more than 2 years ago, I just don't remember.
And in doubt, just do it and
Do it again.
do it again.
Big deal, right?
and if you're on
M
more than
account.
one board, you only have to do it once and it covers all the boards.
Yeah.
Right.
M account.
Wendy, in her investigative talents,
Special Agent Wendy.
Her never-ended dogged determination. Once again, comes up with an M account.
this one I gave to her as a challenge, and she came through quite well with it. What this was is it was set up, and the only thing we could find out, it was set up for the legal review of a covenant that was placed on a property at Pine Needle Way, 7 Pine Needle Way exactly. I found no charges against this Emico, so in my opinion, it was never used. It's just been generating interest ever since it was found.
Were any bills incurred?
No.
Not,
The original deposit was for $500. If you review the Muni report, it's been doing nothing but generating interest, so it has never gone down. Deposits have been made to it.
Mr. Chairman,
Note on the escrow agreement, the signature and the date. Date is 2/24/07, and Sarah Buck. So,
But you know what I question about that when I thought it was the 500? I know, the checking on this, it just, what I would like, I think, see is prior to that, it looks to me like $500. Why would they ask that amount if there was no bills outstanding? I think perhaps the planning board may have paid out of their funds somebody and this is to replenish it and probably should go
No,
into
that's
the.
just to set up an escrow account.
Hmm.
That
Yeah, but,
document is where everything originates from.
Why would somebody do that without knowing that bills are gonna come? That's
You,
why I
but that
think-
happens all the time. You set up escrow accounts and applicants withdraw, and there's never a bill coming along.
Yeah.
It anticipated it.
Well, is it possible to see how they handled the account before this? This was a big subdivision.
There was an account for Pine Needle Way.
There's a big subdivision.
Isn't that one?
Yeah,
Isn't
Pine
that
Needle,
Addison?
but it
Pine
was-
Needle is the one that went belly up and
Isn't
that
that
we.
what Addison
Yeah,
finished up?
we finished up. Yeah.
Up off of Warren Street.
That's
Pine
my
Needle.
only
Pine
thought.
Needle.
I thought maybe we should have had a little bit more before that to see if we didn't use some of the town's money to pay something.
But even if you had, you wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to.
you can't do it now. You can't make
Well,
it
then
back
this
now.
could go into the town coffers. It
No,
could be
it
in the
can't.
reserve.
No,
Well, let
it
me-
can't.
If I may,
It can't.
Mr. Chairman,
No, well,
If it was an error,
Mr. Chairman, does this have to do with any part of that subdivision that went bust?
When Wendy did the research, this parcel of land, lot 7, as I understand it, was not part of the Pine Needle and the other part of the subdivision that went bust, that was later purchased and developed by Artisan.
this was
Right.
already released.
This was
lot.
already done.
That's my question.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was
who-
not one of the remaining.
The other ones were all odd, 10, 14s, and not odd in nature, but odd in number. 10, 14, and 16, I believe were the lots that were subject to the foreclosure.
Did I miss something? Did he say they were all numbered odd, 10, 14, and 16?
I think what he meant was they were double digits.
It was a quiz.
I did that to see if anybody was still listening.
Double digit. What he meant.
And somebody was.
Double digits.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, double digit is what he meant. An even number of digits versus an odd number of digits.
And subsequently, all the,
okay. Two as opposed to one.
And don't they all add up to prime number? No, never mind. Oh,
that's what, right, 14 is 5,
all right.
16
come on,
is 7.
You're dragging.
10 is
Move
1.
move forward, please.
I'm waiting to hear a motion to release
Mr.
M
Chairman.
account 26490 Pine Little Lane.
I'm so moved.
So moved by Mr. Rich.
Second.
The amount is $537 and, was it 41 or 42 cents?
42 cents.
42 cents.
537
42.
42.
42, right?
Don't worry about a penny.
Yeah, 'cause you put
Time
40.
value.
Yeah, but you know what? Then the account stays open and Mary
No, it
loses
says
her mind.
42.
Yeah,
Is that the right number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will
Okay.
the account stay open if we
Who
overdraw
stayed,
it?
who seconded?
I did,
Bob.
as fast as I could.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Where's my certificate of vote? It's a sign, please. Okay. While Howard shuffles papers there and hands that off to Tilly for a signature to start it off, where are we here? In your regular meeting packet, Howard was asked at the last meeting to revise the Form H. Extension of time, it's been revised. You'll notice that it's now set up so that it goes either March 31st, June 30th, September 30th, or December 31st, as we asked, on a quarterly basis, so that now we don't have to worry, oh, we opened this one on the 2nd of September, when's the 60 days up?
Yeah, Chris.
This makes it a heck of a lot easier. This is sort of ministerial, but I'll accept the motion to accept the revised Form H as per, what is today? 3/20 27, 2013 version. Motion made by Chris. Is there a second?
Second.
You'll
Second by
note at the
Tim.
very top of the Form H
Yep.
that it says amended
Amended
313.
313. Sorry,
It's okay.
looks good. Nice
It's
job.
just a good way to keep track of things.
Nice job.
Gee,
Hmm?
paper trail.
Wow. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. That's a new one for Form H. Okay. Where are we, kids?
Another document provided in your meeting supplement
Ooh, what do you got?
is a 3-page printout of the current draft of the planning board State of the Town 2013 presentation. State of the Town is going to occur at the next selectmen's meeting, which is April 8th. Well, this is the final, only chance as a forum to discuss your comments
Because this happens on the 8th,
on the 8th.
right? Is that
One
next
thing-
Monday? Is that next Monday? No.
2 weeks.
2 months. Okay. But we won't have a meeting in between.
Right. So it doesn't have to all be decided now, but I want to just
Mr.
Have-
Chairman?
point out one particular aspect of this.
Yep, I think we're getting
Second
it.
page, opportunities and challenges. It was requested that I put in under opportunities regarding Pembroke School and a site plan approval process, and then under challenges, I put in will not be conducting site plan approval process.
Okay, why don't you pull out opportunities, pull out the bullet that says Pembroke School, and the hyphen, after the hyphen, will be conducting site plan approval process. And we can leave in, will not be conducting site plan approval process under challenges.
For Pembroke School.
Yes, you have to square that up, huh?
That's why it's a draft.
Growth, site plan approval, monitoring status of ongoing funding, downtown wastewater treatment study. Yeah, that's dead. Open space plan, recreation plan, glad to see that's in there, Howard. Stormwater management. Yeah, goals, online tracking permit, Georgetown Alliance. What,
Have you had a stormwater management meeting yet?
Yes.
Great.
cool.
We had to do it because the MS4 small permit's due. And I went to the selectmen's meeting this past Monday and informed them that it's coming soon, but I'm still waiting for one town department to weigh in, and then it'll be complete.
Who's he waiting on?
Commission.
And the reason probably is that MS4 permit goes in under a notice of intent, and they have final authority over it anyway. They're the ones that issues it. So, moving on, giggle, giggle. Street acceptances, Cedar Lane and Abbey Road, 2007 master plan update. That's a throwback to the slide before where you mentioned that.
Last year's had it in, but that's still a goal of mine for this coming year.
And you're gonna give a
After the
little bit of
open
a,
Space plan, after the open space and recreation plan is complete, I would like to be able to proceed with revisiting the 2007 master plan for an update.
I'd very much like to see that myself.
I went and briefly informed the selectmen at the Monday meeting about Cedar Lane and Abbey Road, just because it had drifted off the radar a little bit.
With respect to
And,
what?
Just to
On
make
the-
sure
on
that
the
you knew
warrant?
that it was on the warrant, and to make sure that they knew the planning board, this is the word report required from the planning board back to the selectmen, recommending it for town meeting. And then advise them after their acceptance at the town, they have 120 days, and it seems that that should be a very doable project. 120 days,
Plenty of
4
time.
months.
Great. The Town of Georgetown Financial Management Review done by the Division of Local Services. This is a document that was Gary, you can probably tell us more about this than anybody, but, this was sent out. Give it a read, guys. This was distributed by the town administrator, or how did we get this?
The town administrator, distributed this to all the department heads and requested that it be distributed on to all the boards and committees that those department heads serve. So the planning boards received this, and the other ones I'm involved with will receive it as well, so.
And I gave it a quick read, and there's a lot of recommendations in here you might want to look at. Yeah, read it carefully. Read it carefully.
You might not recognize Georgetown if it all goes through.
It looks. Actually, if you have the PDF of it and you check the properties, you find out it's actually Carver's.
It's on there.
Is that right? Yeah,
It's actually who?
Carver's. But anyway, this was written specifically for Georgetown by DOR.
And you can pull that up on the website, when you go into the selectmen's, it's on there.
Okay,
Cool.
I'll take your word for it.
Cool. Isn't the internet a great thing?
But, you know, if anybody's still awake, they can look it up
Maybe I will do
on the
that tonight.
computer website.
Okay, so
What are the selectmen planning on doing with it?
Put it in the wood stove?
We've not discussed it yet. It was on our agenda for last Monday, but like
wasn't there.
the meeting, so we have not discussed it.
Make sure you list it, it's gonna be a vote.
Well, there's a lot of things. Essentially, what they're saying is create a new charter for the town, and the town administrator position gets to appoint everybody, and
Disband the personnel board?
get rid of the personnel. There's a lot of stuff in there. Maybe we could
Did you put
discuss it
on
another time.
that PowerPoint now? I just thought of it. Is the Jewett Street issues, is that there?
Ooh, challenges. Ooh,
That's-
Wow, there you go, Howard.
That's a biggie.
wow, that's a good one for challenges.
Challenges.
No.
For the real Jewett Street, please.
Please pop up out of the ground.
I don't know,
Nice
do
one.
you have this? Discontinuing town and county roads,
No, I don't have that.
1990?
1990.
And it has pretty much steps in there.
Yeah, too bad the selectmen back when they changed the roadway didn't
And-
have that.
And it does refer to the selectmen taking charge to a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of
they
it.
have to do it.
Well, the selectmen are required to, but the
Yeah.
problem is that I haven't found any documents to show that the selectmen
That they did.
did any receivership from the county for Jewish.
Recycle the envelope.
Recycle.
I'll copy
when-
this and return it to you.
When is that issue gonna be on our meeting? 'Cause I think it's been, we gotta watch the time.
Well, if we can stop talking about Pembroke School, which isn't before us, then we could deal with some of the
think
issues
that-
that people have come to us. People have actually come to us.
Well, I think the time.
We didn't even have to invite them. They just came.
They love us.
Yeah.
Listen,
I think
Because they'd like us to do something instead of just chit chat about
as
it.
I saw on the TV on one state federal meeting, I am not
watching
a
C-SPAN?
sixth grader. Do you hear me?
I hear you. Are you making a motion to adjourn?
No, I
Oh,
want to
bummer.
know when
What a
the
bummer.
Jewett Street is on the agenda.
Are you asking Howard to put that on the agenda for the next
Yes,
time?
and
I
to
would
check
support
the
that.
date,
Check the date of
please.
what?
All right.
What date?
so that we don't overstep our time frame.
Tilly, it's
no
not a
time
hearing.
frame.
There's no time frame.
There's no A&R request?
For A&R, you've
that's
got
the
an
one I'm
extension.
Oh,
of
you're
time.
talking about Mr. Morehouse.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you were talking about Miss
Yeah,
Bateman's issue
that's-
on Jewett Street, which was
Part of it.
approximately 4 months prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still hanging, because
I
we
think
haven't
we
heard
should-
from town council yet, but if
I-
we
I
had
don't
heard from
think
town
we-
council, that would be under
He's
correspondence.
too busy issuing verbal opinions.
Thank you.
And Gary, can we get to see the bill for that verbal opinion? As a taxpayer?
Well,
Think I'm not
How
authorized
does that
to have this
process
much
work,
fun.
Gary? The legal bill.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
motion is made to adjourn and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being none, all in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Time adjourned is 10:03. What'd you say? Yeah.